All right. Welcome one, welcome all to a brand new edition of the electronic world. Sorry, still a little bit sicker. The wide world of electronic sports, featuring my amazing co-host, the one and only Rodney Conyers Jr., and myself. Rodney, how
Hell
you
yeah,
feeling?
man. I'm feeling pretty good, man. As always, I feel like it's just too long since we've got to see each other, on the not the IRL, but the URL screen. But we're gonna make the most of it. All right, we got a lot of show to talk about, a lot of topics to really break down, and yeah, I mean, typically we kind of like condense the show a little bit more, expand a little bit more on some of the topics, but there's just been so much shit happening in the last 7 days that we just have to sprinkle a little bit of everything in. And I think to kick this show off, Mr. Lord Denny Von Doom, also not to sidebar too much, did you get a chance to watch any of the D23 stuff? It looks like they announced the Doctor Doom for the Fantastic Four. Did you see that?
I did not see the Doctor Doom portion, no, but
Yeah, I think they got Henry Cavill playing Doctor Doom in the new Fantastic Four.
I
If that
heard, I
tweet was
heard,
real.
I heard the rumor, but I watched I watched from the timeline for majority of the day. Did not see that it actually happened because Kevin Feige came out and he said that the only Fantastic Four news you're gonna get outside of the director they had involved was that it will be back for next D23. So none of that casting news was actually real.
Damn, I
None of
thought
it
I
actually
thought I had
happened.
something.
But there was plenty of other news that came out. There was some solid trailers and such. D23 was pretty solid. We had some solid action in the esports world this week as well, and this weekend. Actually, here in town, here in Chicago, we had some pretty big stuff going down. I actually saw LCS, of course, your good old League of Legends. It was making some big waves. I had friends who were like, "Who? Where are these people here? What's going on?" Like the Bears game was on Sunday. Like they were trying to figure out why everyone was swarming into the United Center. So much so that my local news was talking about League of Legends and calling it the League of Legends, of course, because close
Yep,
enough, right?
bunch of e gamers playing the League of Legends.
But that tells you what the scale of LCS was here in the event overall with the presentation, everything else there. Some of the photos that were coming in through from the timelines were incredible. So I heard it was a pretty well ran overall event. But let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I think we've covered quite a bit of League of Legends here since the show's inception, and regardless of how people out there feel, League of Legends is just it's the esport. Like it's what I'm saying, like he's the guy, okay. And so because of that, just when it comes to the production, just the overall scale of what this company is going to do, what they're going to put on, it is going to pack out arenas every damn time. I mean, hell, it was even packing out virtual arenas when we were like still in lockdown mode. I mean, it was getting crazy, and obviously going to Chicago is no exception. Making Chicago news, that's a pretty big deal in this day and age, especially for esports. Now, it looks like the C9 Team C9 are LCS champions, defeating my 100 Thieves.
Hey man,
Yeah,
sometimes it happens.
it it do, man. It was bound to happen sooner or later. C9, of course, have been on a absolute tear. I believe I have the bracket here pulled up. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull it up on my end. Yes. So it looks like in the upper bracket, Cloud9 played against 100 Thieves. And then they defeated them 3-1. And then in grand finals, they played against 100 Thieves as well and defeated them 3-0. 100 Thieves 3-2 Evil Geniuses. And from what it kind of looked like when I went back and watched, of course, Evil Geniuses, they're no slouch.
Yeah,
They've played pretty decent this season. Um, it just kind of felt like 100 Thieves ran out of steam a little bit. And I mean, we've seen that type of thing play out in multiple esports. Like, boom, I lost in losers, or I lost in winners, excuse me, didn't lose in losers. I lost in winners, and now I got to fight my way through bracket. Now, luckily enough, when they lost, they only had to play one more match before they got to Cloud9. But sometimes you just kind of run out of steam a little bit. And sometimes you may worry about the guy on the winner side of bracket. You're like, he's been chilling for a while. Are they cold? Are they warmed up? I mean, I think a 3-0 spanking is a sure sign of somebody being warmed up on the other side.
Yeah, and also just kind of having your number to a certain extent. I mean, maybe there's a situation here where Cloud9 kind of we're watching how they were playing through uh, and adjusted as well down the line. Um, but yeah, I mean, EG obviously is still solid overall, and there was definitely some moments I think were popping up on the timeline a bit too, with
Mhm.
just some surprises there. But it seemed like people weren't necessarily extremely surprised by Cloud9 taking this one.
Yeah, they've been on an absolute tear, and just earlier bracket too to take a look at um just kind of coming into this lower bracket round when we have Flyquest versus TSM, and TSM was able to skate by barely with a 3-2 victory. And I know we talked about TSM earlier this year, or maybe not earlier this year, but like maybe close to the springtime, and we talked about how they just went through a complete overhaul of people on their team. Usually, like when we see teams kind of rework themselves, like one or two guys stay, we get some new guys to kind of fill that gap. But I think TSM, if I'm not mistaken, just did a complete overhaul of very, very young players. And, they had a bumpier start earlier in the year, which, makes sense. Again, you're building from the ground up. So it's going to be shaky from the jump. Your fans are going to be like, man, what's going on, TSM? Y'all not the same team we thought you were. Boom, boom, boom. But as we know, esports, especially at this level of play, like between like Overwatch and most shooters, League of Legends, it's a young man sport. And I think the more you invest into younger players, the better the outcome. Because like I want to say on TSM and some of these other teams, the coaches are like 23, 24, and even that's considered old by like esports standards. Like that
Yeah,
window, that
it's
gap
wild.
is like 18 to like 22, bro.
Yeah, folks start early, and they're also taking on their people under their wing as well at an early age. Plus, it's something that people have spent half their lifetime playing at this point, which is
That's true.
also a major factor. So at some point, you gotta kind of decide what your future is going to be.
Yeah. That's true. And I think with the amount of money a lot of these young players are making, like the possibilities are endless. Like I'm already a basic League of Legends legend at this point. Um, I've made a lot of money, I've made a lot of connections. If I decided to retire and bow out, there's a lot of other avenues. Like I can still take the coaching role, which again to me, 24, 25-year-old as a coach is mind boggling because coming from fighting games, like you play till your hands don't fucking work anymore. And
Very
sometimes you don't
true.
even need hands to play. There are people
Exactly.
who, just rocking and rolling any which way they can. But here, of course, there's a lot of other avenues, especially at this level of esports. And
Yeah, you got your commentary. You got people that get into other things going on the line. There's also, of
mhm,
course, there's chances that some of these players might end up, working directly for the company
mhm,
in different positions and roles because league isn't going anywhere. So
that's
I could see
facts.
that definitely being a factor as well down the line.
That is facts. Now, just to peek at the earlier part of upper bracket quarterfinals, Cloud9 defeated Counter Logic Gaming CLG 3-2. So it looks like CLG was working with some sort of magic this weekend. Like they beat Golden Guardians after they lost in winners. They beat them 3-2. And then they lost to Team Liquid 2-3.
Mm,
And Team Liquid, they got beat by 100 Thieves, who went on to obviously play Cloud9 in winners finals and then also in grand finals as well, or upper bracket finals, what they call it here, and then grand finals.
you
So
know,
I think, there's certainly a lot of storylines to kind of tie into one another. But one thing's for sure, Counter Logic Gaming is definitely working with the right sort of ingredients here. I actually want to take a look at their team real fast. It looks like the team that they had was Fudge, Blabber, Jensen, Berserker, Sven, and I don't even want to pronounce this one and butcher it, but I'm gonna. Sven Skarin, Sam Skarin, Dennis Johnson was a sub. So it looks like they had a pretty solid team. They've had a pretty good record this year versus most of the teams that we've seen not today, but this last weekend in bracket. So they did a phenomenal job, but yeah, it just
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, the lower bracket I feel like was the more competitive of the two. Obviously, Cloud9 kept it pretty straightforward with the route to 100 Thieves. But,
mm,
uh, you know, one thing I will say is that it's nice to see the actual event doing well in a major city like, good old Chi Town here. I heard good things on the street and on the internet about the overall experience and just the look and feel of it, feeling fairly ground scale. Uh, Hoping to see more of that moving forward with the way esports is going now, and people talking about where can some of these things go. I know we had Osip on the show, obviously, and he mentioned the Dota 2 kind of you know prize pool and bracket, that kind of stuff, and how that works. I could see that maybe potentially when like Riot, for example, gets into the fighting game range, maybe they'll test out some of that stuff too. Not aligned with how they kind of want to roll out things, and we'll have situations where maybe some of these other genres will get stadium time at something big enough that can hold that kind of those kind of people. But yeah, it looked like a good time. Made the local news here. People flowing into the building, as I'll show on screen in here in a second. But they were
Yeah.
coming in. They were coming in droves. They had like a really sweet air drone shot. I couldn't find again on video, but it was pretty impressive to see for just a random weekend in September here in town, especially a sports weekend when there's the league, the season starting with a great Sunday game. So yeah, glad everyone had a good time, and hopefully they made it back safely. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if there's more of this kind of energy coming for league, especially in the Midwest, because this would be an easier travel destination for folks from both coasts, and you might see
Yes.
more fan contribution as well if there's a lot of success here on that end. Something that I think is kind of slept on the
Mhm.
esports side, but is relatively known in some of the other ventures. Like I watch a lot of wrestling, and Chicago is like has become pretty much the home of AEW at this point because they show up, and it's an easy travel location for people who are coming from either coast, trying to get out of town somewhat quickly.
Mhm.
It's got a major airport that can get you all around. So I would be kind of interested in seeing if Chicago leans more into the esports realm moving forward, especially when you have such a huge fighting game community here in companies like NetherRealm. We could see a situation where, say if Riot decides to move into a few different avenues that they are with the fighting game community and having events that have multiple games at a Chicago stadium would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, man. I think a lot of my esports background comes from, the Chicagoland area, especially like those early days. And just living on the coast now, and I'm saying living very loosely because I'm only here for so many weeks and months out the year. I absolutely dread flying from one end of the country to the other. Jet lag absolutely whoops my ass, and
Yeah.
I just can't do it. But I think Chicago's again, having two very strong airports, of course, O'Hare being the better of the two, but Midway, of course, a very strong destination as well. This just kind of helps people get here. It makes esports more accessible. To your point about like the possible Project L, fighting game that's to come out whenever the hell it's supposed to come out. Very curious to see how that's going to run as well too. Not to change the subject too much, but with Chicago getting more eyes on them in the realm of esports, and it seems like the news. It seems like they're becoming a little bit more hip to like what's going on out there. I think a couple years ago when we had like Daigo and Lupe play, I don't even know if that made local news, but I couldn't imagine something like that happening in 2022 and somebody not picking up on it. And
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's kind of a direction I would like esports to go into just in general. I think you have like events like LCS happening. Of course, we have like Combo Breaker. We have all these cool Frosty Faustings, all these cool events happening. I don't exactly know. And again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to do their job, but I think a good way to get the word out there that esports is happening is to reach out like, hey, I found your email. It's press, boom, boom, boom. Like, this is a big thing. Pull up, come through. I've seen it very few times, like, namely up in like the far north, like in Canada, they'll bring the local news out or they'll bring like the CBC, etc. But I would love to see this even for like a combo breaker, man. Like, get Rick in the hot seat, let him talk about his passion and like, Ed Boon's here, Harada, everybody, and we're just telling and showing the world that this does happen at a level similar to what you'd expect from traditional sports. So super duper dope. Also, shout out to Bad Kitty 64 in the chat. We see you doing it for Shacknews. Big thank you for pulling up.
Yeah.
Subscribe for 32 months in a row. Bad
Man.
Kitty. Do we have any sound effects for Bad Kitty?
Oh yeah, we got something for it. Go ahead. Love to see it. Also, that is quite the streak you got going there. Also, quick reminder: it is September, so if you all have one of those subs you want to drop, one of those Prime subs, go ahead and show us a little bit of love. We appreciate it.
Yes. That's right. We're doing it for Shacknews, even when you think we aren't doing it. 24/7, 365. Shacknews stays on our mind here. Okay, so show us some love because that's all we got to give to the world, and video games, of course. Love and video games in that exact order. So yeah, I think with LCS out of the way, let's jump into. Should we jump into Smash? Are we going to summon Lord Osif, the man with the briefcase? Can we use our summoning powers?
Well, let's see. Because we got what else we got on here. Well, I mean, before we get into Smash, I think we should maybe dive in real quick into the MultiVersus news. I'm biased. All right? Maybe we should dive a little bit into that before the Smash info. Just because, we didn't get the opportunity to cover as much because there wasn't much with Gizmo that speak of besides the little teaser that came out before last episode show. And the floodgates are kind of opened on that end. And was it you or someone else who said that they hadn't seen Gremlins? Because
that wasn't me.
someone on staff said they hadn't seen Gremlins before, and I was disturbed. But it's okay.
Really? Everybody on staff has to be older than 25. Like I actually think I might be the baby on staff. I've seen Gremlins.
Yeah, we have to do some math because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, all right, if you ain't seen Gremlins by now, friends, after this show wraps, of course, because we need you to kick it with us, go on HBO Max. That's where it has to be if they're in MultiVersus, somewhere in there, in that universe, and watch Gremlins. It's a phenomenal movie, okay? Maybe a little creepy at points and times, but it's all practical effects, friends. Just go check it out.
I mean, me personally, I was more a fan of Gremlins too, but, that was just kids me. Everything was bigger and more bombastic with the sequel, But then there was the Spider Gremlin that used to scare me. So yeah, I didn't like that part. But yes, maybe that'll be some DLC down the line. Get some creepy gremlins.
Well, we're supposed to get something. There is a bad guy pack coming soon. Of course, we got the Gremlins and I believe Black Adam pulling up as well too, which I'm sure you guys are going to talk a little bit about it on the Thursday show. The new Black Adam trailer dropped, and I hate to keep veering the subject, but I definitely want to talk some superhero stuff too one of these days. But
I'm tired of The Rock telling me that the hierarchy of power will change. Okay, if he says that line one more time, I might lose my shit. But it's fine. All right. Yes, there'll be some Black Adam talk, of course. But,
that's right. Yeah, I'm gonna dress up as Superman and fight him.
Well, that would be hilarious. But what did you think of what you saw of Gizmo in action so far? The character breakdown.
So Gizmo recently, for me, is a slightly different view into what I think the roster is. Now, I mean that in the realm of a lot of the characters feel the same. And whether it's in terms of cheese or it's how some of the characters kind of function in battle, maybe not their moves, but the roles they play. I believe Gizmo is a support character, but almost feels like the way he kind of operates feels a little tanky at times. And I'm kind of here for that. Also has the long range capabilities too, which is huge in this current meta because, we got characters like Batman with the Batarang and of course the grappling hook where those moves are very difficult to work around. Wonder Woman has, of course, the lasso of truth. Superman has, ice breath, which isn't the longest move in the game. But, if you get caught in it a multitude of times, it starts to stack after a while. Then after it stacks, Superman just becomes even more stupid than he actually already is. But then he also has the lasers too. But basically the point that I'm getting at is that I feel like the overall meta in this game is you have to have something to cover yourself in long range combat, or you just have to be huge as hell like the Iron Giant, who, depending on how big you are, you could technically be your own projectile. I mean, we've seen that in other fighting games, but regardless, I like what I'm seeing here from Gizmo. I think the character is pretty good. I know with any character that comes out, the community is split in two on if this character is broken or if this character can hang with the rest of the cast. I'm a firm believer, just given the toolkit that Gizmo has, this character can certainly hang with the best of them. How well they'll hang, I mean, we'll have to just wait until the next online tournament. MultiVersus, we need some offline events, okay? God damn it. I don't care if this game is in a beta, alpha, omega, or any of them other damn fraternities. We need some tournaments. I ain't trying to hear it.
I mean,
All
they
right.
launched it, so they should know what's up at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's definitely going to depend on the online scene. I'm wondering, how much money that they're willing to put into making that scene grow right now. I mean, obviously on the entertainment end, it's a bit more happening,
Mhm.
both good and bad, with the amount of downsizing and people losing their jobs and such. So I'm curious to see if they consider to support the game the same way that they have been, especially with how large the Evo tournament was. But
Yeah.
it would be nice to see a nice premiere tournament event that has these DLC characters on display and seeing how folks are adjusting to the meta.
Well, I'm glad you actually said something about that because I forgot to add this here. So Lost Tech City actually just announced a tournament for MultiVersus with a $5,000 pot. Now, on paper, that might not sound like anything. Here, I'm going to send it to you on. I'll send it to you on Slack. Where are you? Oops. Damn, this new computer buttons are mega sensitive. Okay. Here, I'm going to put it in the WWES. So, forgot about that. That was posted just the other day while I was watching Riptide. And they announced that they're going to do a $5,000 pot. Now, I like that. Okay. Like, I like $5,000 in the pot. And there's only one format of this game that's actually going to be taken serious. So that's cool. My issue is, though, once you do Evo, right? Like, culturally, you either got to do something else on that similar level, that similar feel, or don't do nothing at all. And I know Twitch chat ain't supposed to know this, but they're trying to partner with a lot of events. I think Low Tide City or one of the they changed their names. Lost Tech City is one of them. I believe the Big House is another one, knock on wood. And there's one other one that's escaping me. And I like this. They're trying to cross over into other platform fighters. And what better one to do than Smash, who we have the entrance, we have the viewer count, but we don't really have the company support. And so because of that, there's space for them to come through. However, I'm like, $5,000 is a Smash Bros. Pop bonus. I'm sorry. Like, if you're going to do something offline, you got to keep going in. Now, I ain't saying you got to replicate what we've seen at Evo. Evo's a once-a-year thing. It's a religious experience, okay? Like, boom. But $5,000 ain't going to cut it. That's going to be very hard for me to take serious. And I think the game is really cool, but I need to see at least $10K minimum for a lot of these tournaments.
But wait, though. It's saying that that's just the pot bonus for the event. There's still a $30 entry fee. So you still get the regular prize pool on top of that, at least. I mean, this is just looks like it's a sponsor on that end. So tossing a little bit into the pot, but that's coming directly from the sponsor on that end. So who knows if WB might try and boost that a little bit with something else going down outside of the actual sign up. But right now, I'm only seeing like 18 entrants for the tourney. So that's pretty good odds. I mean, if depending on how this goes, if you're already at the event anyway.
And it looks like we're leaning into the NFT cryptocurrency angle as well. Now, again, Smash has had a very interesting relationship. And I'm saying Smash, even though this is MultiVersus, I'm saying Smash because Lost Tech City is a play off of Low Tide City, which is a play off of Low Tier City. It's like Interscope Records, G-Unit Records, Shady Aftermath. Like, it's like I'm signed to a guy who's signed to a guy. And so, again, but regardless, we are leaning into, the cryptocurrency angle, which, again, people in esports have a very love-hate relationship, probably a little bit more hate than love these days. But $5,000 in pot bonus, powered by MetaBoy NFT. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on their page. An exclusive collection on the GameStop NFT marketplace. So whoever this company is, whoever this individual, this set of individuals are, were so gracious enough to give us $5K. I think that's cool on top of the $30 entry fee, like you talked about, Denny. But again, this is MultiVersus. And I think Asif kind of mentioned a little bit about this too. Like, MultiVersus is a great game, but we can't like all of our eggs in one basket. Fuck all the other games and X, Y, and Z. We still have to wait and see what they're actually going to do in terms of community engagement. Yeah. And I'm gonna be real. I really don't like this. I don't like the $5,000 pot bonus. I don't like that. I don't like that it's graciously donated by MetaBoy or MetaBox or Boy NFT. I don't like any of that. We need WB bucks. Okay, we need Warner Bros.
Yeah, I
dollars.
mean, but it's still there's still going to be some grassroots angles, and while it gets his feet under way, his legs under it. I think that obviously until WB announces either some kind of official channel or tour or something that's going to be powered attached to other events, um, we're going to see stuff like this until there's something more fleshed out. And I think that they might be waiting on that because they have more content planned and more balancing to do with just the first season of characters before they're willing to say, hey, we believe in our game enough in the way that things are working with the characters that we can put this out there and feel good about it.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely be something going on this fall. The WWE will come out with, especially since they have more content planned and more content releases. And that means both on the television side too, and HBO Max and everything else there. I know that they were asking about skins the other day, or what kind of skins you would like to see and stuff like that. So I think that there is some kind of plan in the future to have something happening this fall, especially since, to be honest, when I think about Smash, especially these Smash events that are running and closing out on Sundays, I'm like, football is happening. Football is happening. College
Football is
football is
back,
definitely
bro.
happening.
Football is back.
So if we're gonna keep having these events, it needs to be something I think that's tying into more on the MultiVersus route, where you're getting that WB money, than just going the Smash and then that's it. And I think they're aware
Yeah.
of that, but we'll have to wait and see until they make an announcement. But in the meantime, they're at least still pushing out content, so that's the important thing, in my opinion.
Yes.
We're still getting solid rollout, and they're still listening when it comes to trying to balance out the game. And I know we had some patch notes, I believe, too.
Yeah, so I actually just sent that to you as well in Slack. There's a patch notes thing, but you actually brought up a really good point about like what they're going to do in the meantime while they're partnering with events and leaving Uncle Rod confused on who's helping who out. I don't know if we're helping MultiVersus out or MultiVersus helping us out, and then cryptocurrency, but they are still balancing things. And this actually brings up a really good point here that I swore I thought I linked, but maybe I just
Yeah, I
dropped it
got
into Slack. But it's basically said, Tony Huynh, our goal with this update is to more tightly tie hitboxes and hurtboxes to our characters' animations. The hit/hurtboxes updates in this patch are a foundational change to MultiVersus. There may be issues, but we should be able to correct the issues quickly and more accurately now. I'm not going to read all of this, okay, because I did enough of that in elementary school. But my biggest concern is, Denny, is there a thing, and just feel free to tell me, Rod, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Is there a thing of being too transparent, like just overly transparent? Because I feel like I get that here from MultiVersus sometimes. Like when I did one or two offline or online tournaments / offlines, however they ran the production, there were like very crazy levels of toxicity. Players bitching about other players and characters. I hate Superman, his command grab. He's throwing me into the blast and he's killing me at 40. And I hate the Iron Giant and I hate Velma, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, okay, I think Tony is using that as a way to be like, okay, they're upset at some very early game beta stuff, and I gotta just be open all the time on Twitter. I'm in the camp of like, you know what? Yes, it's okay to be open, but I'm also down to let the community figure some things out. Like, have we even let the game exist long enough to figure out counterplay? Like,
I
with all
mean,
DLC, we get patches. Like, can we figure out counterplay first? Am I tripping, Denny? Tell me, Rod, you're tripping.
so I'm not going to complain about oversharing when it comes to community. All right, on at least on that angle, because it's at least things that are explaining changes to the game. When it's things that might be a bit more not necessary. Sure, I can understand that being annoying when it's just a flood of info and it comes off more of stuff, but you could just get in at the end of a patch notes setup.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have other games that are getting no information from the community management, NetherRealm, or any kind of communication engagement, I'm never going to say I want less communication because we saw that in Street Fighter for so long before they switched over both their community management team and just like I can't remember which season of Street Fighter Five it was, but when they switched things over, it was like night and day, both on the communication side, but they were having like special video and streams and content, tweets and everything else. Just talking to the community, saying what's coming up next, what's going on with DLC characters, why is this delayed, what's going on with this certain, like when if you start doing those kind of things now and the community gets used to them, you're telling me that you plan on being that consistent with it moving forward, which is
Mhm.
what you want to hear. Because if a game is going to have a long lifespan, you want that kind of consistency early on so that you can start working out the kinks for how you communicate with people. It's easier
Mhm.
for them to have those kind of issues now where the audience gets angry or the community gets mad about how something was communicated to them, so you can fix that kind of issue and then there's a better back and forth happening between the community and the company and the developers moving forward, so that when we do have major updates, there's a solid course of action for how the community can kind of speak back to that. And so
Yeah.
that element I think is nice. I think if they could kind of move into explaining those things through official channels more than just having to, follow this guy on Twitter or he's posting out some things and then some of that kind of information kind of gets through and some of it's only left on this page.
Mhm.
I think more of that balance is going to be necessary as we move forward because I know they were doing like surveys and that kind of stuff, like a lot of developers do, but explaining how important that information is and why you're making those changes, I think helps the audience and the players understand why we take a bit more time on this. Now, for example, this Hurtbox update that he's talking about, that's a pretty major thing. I mean, you can look at the example. That's a lot of detail compared to what they had previously before. So I
Mhm.
can see why that would be something important to bring up to the community. I haven't checked to see if that same kind of information was provided on the MultiVersus, official channels, but I feel like it should be. If I'm going from what looks like a hot dog as a hitbox to this kind of detail on the right end here
Yeah.
as the future of the game, then yes, I would like that kind of information, shared. And it also gives another reason why they might be holding off moving into more tournaments yet. I mean, this is the major difference between certain things hitting and certain things not, especially when you have people in midair, different angles.
Mhm.
So they might be trying to figure out the sweet spot for stuff like hurt boxes, hit range, projectiles, all that stuff now, so that there's not people complaining or there's not issues with this coming up in a major tournament where folks are like, "How did that even happen?" You got to
Well,
remember that we live in kind of in the world now where everything's on the internet and people could hit a YouTube video or a stream and bring that down to you know half speed, and they're looking
mhm.
at things happen that shouldn't be happening, and then suddenly you're like, "How did that happen? So and so won this tournament. Is this fair?" Then it turns into a
Mhm.
controversy.
Fair.
So
Fair.
there might be some reasons why they're holding off a bit more until they can kind of figure out this is now out in the open, and they might have to wait and just let the community kind of build some grassroots around it. Like you said, it's still early on. Let the community figure some things out. And if that's the case, maybe the community can start also working through some of these tourneys on their end to see
Fair.
if
And
they
I
can
mean,
figure some stuff out that way.
that's a good point. You're right. Now, first, the first thing I want to address with all of that is leave Wonder Woman alone. All right. Leave, that's my girl. Leave Diana Prince alone. Don't change nothing unless it's for the better. All right. She got wonky and dumb hitboxes. Let them stay wonky and dumb. But second of all, though, you're right. I think a good way, of course, if you're in a beta, format right now, and you don't really want to host things on your own, but you know that there's community advocates and people out there who really want to do it on the online sense or if an in-person sense, give them the keys. And I'm saying that very loosely. Obviously, don't give them the keys, but let them be able to host it and run it on their channel. Boom. That way, the tournament stuff can be outsourced. People can get it in their mind, marketing wise, that I am expected to see MultiVersus at events like the Big House,
Mm-hmm.
Lost Tech City, Genesis, boom, boom, boom. And we can focus our channel content on just that channel content, DLC, character breakdown, stuff like that. I think that's really awesome. I feel like, too, this is the first time I've actually interacted with the game this long in a beta stage. Usually, games that you get early, there's demos, you might play it at like E3 or like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, PAX, DreamHack, Evo show floor, whatever, and then you interact with it for a little bit. Depending on who you are in the industry, you get an early build, and then they go and change some things, and then that's the game you're kind of with. So I think this elongated beta period where they're being super transparent is cool. I do think though, being too open sometimes can baby the community with, oh, here's that thing you complained about, let's change that. Here's this other thing you complained about, let's change that. I'm like, okay, cool. It's cool to have that early in the beta format, but like I also like the idea of the community figuring some things out on their own. Now, this is coming from somebody who let, we let dumbass Bayonetta, Bayonetta her way into brewing it in Evo. Asif, I'm sure he's watching this right now. He was there. Him and Blake were both there, and they watched Bayonetta pretty much just slap the Evo organizers in the face. On stage, stalling, the character's broken, impossible to fight. Most people in other fighting game communities don't care. They like touch-of-death characters. In Smash, we like ourselves a nice back-and-forth neutral, okay? And then golf claps when it's all said and done. But I just think being too open sometimes can kind of come back and bite you. And I hope Tony is prepared for that, because again, if you show people sometimes how the sausage gets made, they won't, be the biggest fan of the sausage itself. And so I'm just worried. But again, we're still in beta format. We still need way more data. We need way more tournaments. We need way more online excursions. So
what
we'll see what we get.
Reminds me of, it reminds me a bit of early days of Killer Instinct.
Mm.
There was a similar kind of vibe when it came to both some of how the developer side went and then how they were updating the game, adding in new characters, having to balance out for those new characters for each season. And that seems to kind of remind me of that when it comes to right now where the developers are. And I think that with the way that the communication goes, yeah, you don't need to overshare necessarily. Some people just like the development side. I think that's more of like what Tony's doing that for. Now, like I agree with you when it comes to pointing out like, hey, you guys complained about this and we fixed this for this reason. Can kind of end up moving you down a dangerous route sometimes, especially if it ends up being a situation where you have to go back on that and take something out that you change for that reason, and something else gets added to the game that you end up having to balance out by or fix by removing that new or that feature or something else that you had promised the community already. Those kind of things end up becoming an issue. Sometimes there's communication and breakdown that happens in the room with the developers that they don't the audience doesn't know about. But I do think that there is a big focus on keeping the community happy from the team so far. That part seems to be coming through pretty naturally. I feel like with everything they've been doing, and that's good. I do think there's good things about that. There just needs to be. I feel like there's a bit of lack of stability there because of there being so many changes being made, more content coming out, more characters being announced for coming out, ones that aren't out yet, stuff like that, which you obviously would expect. But when you're free to play, the core of the game has to be where it needs to be before we're moving into any of that. So I think that's where the next couple months is going to be interesting, especially if we've got people who are in the community themselves who are figuring things out, and how much of that communication is happening between those kind of players and the developers. That's kind of conversation that I would like to see. Tell me in 6 months if there's a sit down with the players that if there are more events, if they're having any kind of conversation with the development team about what's working and what isn't, because it's rare to be on the ground level of a new game. And now that you are, is it something that you can continue to balance as we're, again, free to play and things are constantly changing? Or should there be a core, like, what is MultiVersus going to be known for? And what do we want it to be known for? Is what we are calling the game and the strategy for the game, is that what the community thinks the strategy for the game is? Right. Those two things aligning in a way that makes sense and are like, yeah, it's MultiVersus. You know what to expect. Is that happening? Or are we still in the Wild West?
That's fair. That's a good point. And I think too, to your point about being open, the more open you are, the better it is to build that narrative 6 months down the line. I think too, with how they've built their community, how they're in the process of building it, they're building from the ground up. Traditionally in fighting games, and Danny, you have been around like the beginning of fighting games, just about, you know, the Renaissance period in like 2009, where we had like a bunch of fighting games come out. Of course, when esports hit, so you've seen a lot of different eras. But one thing that they all share in common, especially since money's been involved at a community level, is um, I want my game to be the best game it could possibly be. Let me borrow people from other games. So let me do a big invitation. Let me get Tasty Steven Yipes on comms, and then let me get, you know, this person emceeing and this tournament organizer, and boom, 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 boom. And we're going to do that for a little bit. And then after we get done shaking the sand out, we're going to see who's still there and then who decided to go back to their own universe. And I think with MultiVersus, they're doing a really good job at staying open so they can build that community themselves. Now, of course, some players, I think that there is a goal, of course, with the players to bring people from other platform fighters over to this one. This one's a very easy pick up and go, especially if you're well versed in at least one other platform fighter at a moderately, decent level. You can definitely jump right into MultiVersus. Another thing that makes this game so cool is that there's no team attack, of course, in doubles, which if you come from Smash, you know how important that is, you know, to have team attack on. That way there's just not two teams just shooting stuff at each other from the other side of the room. But I think even at a community ambassador level, like they're getting, like I seen Ajax and Sharpie just got announced as community ambassadors on top of already being official MultiVersus commentators, which is huge. You know, they could have easily taken the, I don't know, Dan. They could have easily taken the Sajam route or the, you know, the Persia route. Like they could have got somebody who's already built. But I've noticed that they want to hire, and I'm saying this as respectfully as possible, they want to hire smaller and then build with them, which I really, really like. And I've noticed, like, even with some of my guys from Smash, like, I'm trying to comment, I'm trying to get involved, boom, boom, boom. And I'm just like, they building small, y'all. Like, y'all don't get it. Like, this is the long game for MultiVersus. They're really trying to build this into something like a whole year from now. You'll see that they have their own thing set for themselves. And I like that a lot. I just, again, I worry a lot about it. As weird as this is to say, I worry a bit about the transparency and not the lack thereof it, but the overabundance of it at times. But in a beta, it's good to have it. I'm just a little worried in a year from now, like, hey, this one little thing happened. What do you got to say about it? Or, hey, this, I don't like Shaggy's combos, or I think Gizmo's this and that, or whoop-de-doo. And it's just like, damn, we've only had 2 tournaments on this patch. Can we work it out and then, you know, represent the issue later on?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think that you should have, you know, necessarily unlimited access to the development team for every nitpick that you think of the game. There's going to be things in the game that just aren't necessarily going to be your thing when it comes to, you know, how you play a certain character, or maybe you want something else fixed here that they decide not to go that route with. I mean, there's going to have to be a disconnect at some point where some things will work and some things won't. But
That's facts.
you got to balance
Make
it
it
out
facts,
sometimes,
man.
you know. Yeah, I agree. Like, there's got to be but I think that Tony right now is probably just communicating more that way because of how early in the game it is, and because you've got a very active community. Thankfully, that's something people want to play your game, for starters. Where, you know, it's other situations where Big Brawl, you know, when you may not have the community there to answer your questions in a way that lets you know, hey, what would bring you back to the game, or what will keep you playing. Getting that kind of information early on is smart. I mean, yes, you're going to get those folks who are going to overanalyze things or complain and whine about, you know, every little thing, hoping that because they keep shouting the loudest that somehow that's going to end up making things change. No, that's not how it works. But at the same time, that open line of communication is important for this community, how to grow and thrive. And then also the vocal side of the top players. Again, we already know a game that, you know, is bringing up having a strong double seed. So that's going to be really important moving forward with how they, you know, they got different issues that you will have in single player, or 1v1. I mean, the double seed, like the team angles and aspects, are going to be really important to kind of dive into. And as we get into more of that on the tournament side, we're going to definitely have to see some more, you know, communication with maybe how to balance some of those things out as we add more characters.
I'm actually happy you brought up Nick Brawl as well, because I just you know, my buddies here when I'm in New Jersey, of course, they're very big Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl enthusiasts, you know, for that game's short, but, you know, I think electrifying in some parts in its lifespan, whatever, though. I Thaddeus, the gentleman I interviewed, had a very strange interaction with one of my guys here, and this kind of ties back into the openness and just like the constant communication.
Mm.
Um, I feel like the story serves me correct. My buddy was like talking to Thaddeus on Twitter via Twitter mentions about like changes and whoop de doo and blah blah blah. And Thaddeus like, and maybe he was having a bad day. I don't know what the case was, but he was just like, "Yo, get the hell out of my mentions, whoop de doo, blah blah blah." Now look, everybody's human. We all have off days, okay?
Yeah.
And you can't really check it at the door when we're at home, right? So sometimes whoever that you're going to see on the internet, whether it's via text or via video, you're going to get the receiving end of that verbal lashing. Um, but yeah, like that's just when I think of Nick Braun, I think of what it could have been. Then I think of like the community and like whoop de doo. Like it is a night and day difference between that and MultiVersus. I still think Nick is a decent game. It's playable. It's if you practice, you will be good. Okay. It's definitely not a pick up and go type of title. You got to have a little sauce. Despite the game being without seasoning, you got to have some sauce coming into it. But MultiVersus, of course, just gets it right. And I love everything Tony's doing. And even when I interviewed the gentleman, I believe his name is Chris, I interviewed him like right before the game's launch. And we talked about the importance of making sure that the game feels balanced and that Superman still feels like Superman, even though he's fighting against Tom and Jerry, and the importance of, being open and being vocal. I knew that was something they wanted to lean into, especially like what we've seen here with Gizmo. And then, of course, the talk of hitbox changes and hurtbox changes. I just didn't know it was going to be to this level. But for that other title under WB, looking at you, NetherRealm Studios, two things. You put my boss to sleep during top eights, okay? And you just disappear after the last wave of DLC comes out. Rambo's cool. Predator, all those cool characters you gave to us are super dope, but we need more transparency. And speak of the devil, here we woke him up.
I like how you popped in
Every
like
time-
Batman there. Like,
Every time you bury Mortal Kombat, I have to come in and clarify what I was talking about. It was just MK11.
Fair.
Like, I've watched MK9, just all. It's just 11, man. That's all I'm saying. Like, I like Mortal Kombat. It's not that Mortal Kombat puts me to sleep. I actually like playing it more than Street Fighter. It's like a game that I actually enjoy playing. But
MK9 and MKX had a totally different vibes going into them.
Yeah,
MK11 clearly was influenced by Street Fighter. Like they said it themselves. So
which I just said, like, I kind of don't really Street Fighter 5 specifically, like that shit did not land with me at all. So yeah, but I like Mortal Kombat. That's what to make that very clear. Rod likes to paint me in this corner that I'm just, every time you guys even mention it, I just go to sleep. Like, that's not true. And I think, but Denny's point about them being more communicative is very sound. Like, did you see that tweet from Ed Boon this weekend? It was like, what do you want from Mortal Kombat?
We're going to talk about that next, actually, since you're here.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and bring it up.
I have it linked. Hold on. Did you find it?
Yeah, I got it. So we'll
okay.
put it up on screen here because you can see the results as well. There was over 160,000 votes on this poll.
It was a poll?
Yeah, it was a poll. It was a poll.
I just saw the replies and was like, oh man.
Yeah, so Ed Boon, the head of NetherRealm Studios, asked this weekend, what do you want to see from NetherRealm Studios next? And our options were Injustice 3, a Marvel game, Marvel vs. DC, or the next Mortal Kombat.
All right, you guys go first. What do you?
For me, Mortal Kombat's not going anywhere. It's always going to be another Mortal Kombat. So I would love to see them either go the Injustice 3 route or a Marvel game, because Marvel vs. DC, as much as that would be interesting, I also think about Marvel vs. DC from another realm storyline standpoint, and that would be, there'd have to be an entire new team just to cover the story of that, because the way that Injustice was handled, you'd have to put together some interesting things. But on the Marvel side, I'm like, hey, a Marvel game, there's plenty of violent characters there. You can test on it. They don't have to be Avengers. You got the Thunderbolts, you got the Punisher, you got
Wolverine, Deadpool.
You got all these folks in there, but there's so many opportunities there. You can kind of make things happen. Deadpool, like there's plenty of routes to go with that, I think, without it having to touch on your core Avengers team or your Disney side as heavy. So I'm going with the Marvel, but Injustice 3 would be interesting. You know, I don't know where you go story wise from that, but it could be solid as far as like I will say that when NetherRealms has adjusted for Injustice, it's like night and day somewhat when it comes to the actual like level of quality for the story and such. Justice 1 to Justice 2, like Justice 2 looked good. Like it was a good looking game when it came out. So I could see, especially on next year, the Justice 3 doing some pretty big stuff on that end.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even. You know how when you link a tweet in like Slack or Discord and it has a poll, it doesn't show you the poll choices.
Yeah, it didn't show it.
So I just thought he was asking people this. So when I saw the Marvel vs. DC replies, I was like, "What?" He actually suggested that was a possibility. Is kind of insane. I don't think that he's trolling.
Yeah.
First of all, Ed Boon is straight up trolling the community right now because he knows the next game. He's been working on it for like a year or two.
Yeah, of course. But I will say though that Ed has been saying, he has said before that like it's not like he hasn't asked about Marvel vs. DC. I think that even though he's trolling, he'll also point out to the people involved, hey, look what people want.
He's going to show this poll to the people who told him he was crazy when he came in and asked for the DC Marvel licenses.
40%, you know, I think he could even, if polls had like ways to like show content, if he had saw like Ed Boon on the screen saying that he's willing to do a Marvel DC game if it's in the poll, that thing would have shot, like it would have been trending. Like,
sure.
That would have been like, you would have saw millions of votes on this. Like Twitter, if you get bought by Elon, the first thing you should do is start allowing content to be added to polls because it would change the engagement level. It would skyrocket.
I agree. Like having a video on top, a GIF or an image, any of that. Being able to like have a Periscope. I don't know if Periscope exists anymore, but like, having rich media at the top of a poll would be really nice. This is just weird.
It is
because I know he's trolling. It's another Mortal Kombat, and also like DC and Marvel. Really, guys, you really think like this world is not perfect. This is an imperfect world. Like, what would have to happen?
But I mean, look, all right, I've seen weird things happen this year. All right,
I get it.
This man is out of WWE. There's been all kinds of things that people said would never happen. All right,
sure.
It's been going down. You know, and so I could, on the off chance that Marvel vs. DC down the line sometime would happen, I just don't know if I would want another Rome studio on the story to be the ones handling that kind of your Superman, showing up versus Spider-Man or something. I don't know if that's what the team I want to have on that storyline.
No.
No,
and I don't think Disney would want it either, man. Disney wants control of that IP. So like, but man, if we could have like,
that would have to be something I think would be something a bit different.
So here's the issue. So Marvel and DC, obviously there are comic books that they can draw inspiration from. They could,
of course, they have.
And again, I'm talking if we lived in the perfect timeline, like how they talked about in the Matrix. There was like Doomsday, perfect scenario, and then the current world we live in right now. This is everything was perfect. If they drew inspiration from that comic book where DC showed up and thought that the Marvel people were the bad guys. Marvel thought that the DC guys were the bad guys. That's an Injustice storyline right there. But like Asa said, I'm going to have to hard agree. You're not doing anything until the man with the mouse ears gets involved, all right? Because once that happens, all the fun stops. So
I mean, Marvel, Disney and Marvel, they have been playing ball more with Marvel games and such. They've been working more with the IP. But I think it's more on the DC side. It's also like struggling right now. I mean, look at the movie lineup. I mean, you don't know what's going on over there.
Okay.
Joker 2 is Joker 2 and Black Adam are your headliners right now.
That's the point though, Denny. Like Warner is in a weak position right now.
They're not the level they were.
Yeah, they're not going to come to Disney with their hat in their hand and get everything they ask for. Disney's going to be like, get out of here. Yeah. We're going to buy you in a few years when you're worth a third of what you are right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's Disney's attitude. It's like, we're out here. We got Monday Night Football to worry about. We don't have time for this.
But you know what? But you know what? If one of these corporations bought DC, they might be willing to play ball. If an Apple or an Amazon was like, hey, we own DC now, They might not care about
listen. So I would love to see that. and it would maybe put some more fuel to the fire that is a possible Marvel DC thing again in a very specifically perfect timeline. But like when I think also Marvel characters, like what makes DC and the Mortal Kombat characters, like what makes them work so well is that like some of these characters kill and then some do not. Like that's the night and day difference. Marvel characters are a little bit more inclined to kill you. Like super, and I'm not saying that they don't do that in DC, but they don't hide it as well in the Marvel films. Like Wolverine, Deadpool,
I mean,
Jean Grey has died multiple times. Boom, boom,
the
boom.
films, though. In DC, there's plenty of killing happening.
There's plenty of killing.
Suicide
I mean, did you
Squad,
see that Suicide Squad movie? It was like,
right,
it was just brutal. The first 10 minutes, like they killed half the cast.
Right, you're not wrong.
I mean, both of these. I don't think that's the issue.
You know what I think is the most likely thing to happen here? All right, I'm just gonna blow some minds here a little bit. All right, I think if they're gonna go a Marvel game route, I think what they might have now NetherRealm to do is to pull from Avengers versus X-Men and give us the crossover. Where you take the Avengers team and the X-Men team, and you let them just go crazy. Because in that comic, people were dying. They were getting murked. Scarlet Witch did not give a fuck. She didn't care. All right, she was like, "Oh, you guys going, heads going." You know, and then there's of course there's the big showdown with like Magneto when he rips out Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, and it's like, yeah, you're dead now. Like those kind of moments could happen in another game. That may not happen, you know, in an Insomniac title or something like that.
But with the relationship that Disney, owners of Marvel, has with Capcom, right? Yeah. Like, are we just ignoring this? That like Capcom is still sitting there. I know they made Infinite and that game sucked, but like it did. But like it can't be the end of that relationship. You know, like I imagine there's, and then you think about Marvel in video games and standalone games, like we're getting Wolverine. And that's a Sony joint. That's an Insomniac joint. Right? So like I look at how Disney is handling their IP in the video game space. I think it's like gonna take a huge overture from NetherRealm and Warner to get anything from Disney, because like they are competitors, right? Like whereas Disney isn't a direct competitor with Capcom. Like they view devs differently. Yeah. I think when they're owned by, you know, self-contained versus like, but I guess technically they do compete with Sony because they have the whole Spider-Man thing, which is a mess.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, if Disney's looking at it from the standpoint where they have a ton of mature IP, that won't show up in necessarily the same kind of range as Capcom, you know, because Capcom obviously will have the range of using Marvel Capcom characters, but if they were to use more mature characters like the Punisher and stuff like that, that may not necessarily fit the same way in a regular Marvel Capcom game or something like that.
Yeah,
you might see more of that crossover happening on a straight up Marvel game. Plus, it's a new IP opportunity, and it's at the level where they can say we have the creators of Mortal Kombat attached to.
So let's say that like everything's happy, Trump never won. You know, this is a different universe clearly, and we get Marvel versus DC.
You open up the multiverse right now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Parallel universe. Cavs didn't win the finals. You know. Weird, right?
Yeah.
We get Marvel versus DC. Are there fatalities in
it? Because see, I don't want to see a game where Wolverine's in it, especially versus something.
I think it would have to be, because it would have to be the same.
I would have to see it.
It'd have to be like Injustice. It would
you know what I mean? Because like
it had to be a multiverse. It wouldn't be.
To your point, like Disney's like, here's the violent IP, you can have it, and I still think they would be like, no, it's too good. Because like where they're at now with fatalities, and I don't know, there's like 3 other things in Mortal Kombat now. There's like the whatever that strike is before the fatality.
Oh yeah, the like, fatal blow.
And the fatal blow. Yeah. It's just like all different things that are all insanely violent, and I think there's just the problem with Nintendo, or I was going to say Nintendo, but Disney, very similar companies, is they're like maniacal about their brand and their brand guidelines. So like, I could just see it be a giant pain. Like, I don't know why Ed Boon would volunteer for the amount of pain that it would be to develop a Marvel versus DC game.
But to be fair, though, people said the same thing after MK versus DC came out.
Okay, and then I'm glad you're bringing that up, because That's what I would want to see. I would want to see not a MK versus Mortal Kombat again, but I would like to see something done in the style of Injustice. Not Injustice 3, because the Injustice 3 storyline takes place like in the 50s. I don't want to play as old Flash, okay? I don't want any of that. I want a canon DC versus Mortal Kombat, like in the style of an Injustice game. Because like when I watch Marvel, or when I watch Injustice, and I see like the guest characters that come over and vice versa, they talk about each other a lot. You know, that we met in a previous Injustice, that we met in Mortal Kombat versus DC back in the day. Like, I want to see it actually canon now. I don't want to see it as guest characters. That's what would get my everything going.
They would just take a lot of work with Marvel versus DC, but I definitely could see a Marvel game happening. There's so many teams that you know you could easily plan it out. Like, even if they were to branch it out into just X-Men or something. Like, there's enough. There's just so many mutants out there.
No matter if any of that happens, though, it's a huge win for Ed and his team, and it's a huge L for Capcom, because
it would be pretty big for Capcom to lose that kind of.
There's no way we're getting an MVC4 if that happens.
Oh no!
But you know what? Because I could totally see Ed Boon trolling up this list and then like doing something completely different.
Yeah, like they
could be doing like a horror movie game with just horror movie slashers or something with Jason.
He's got to be
Freddy
trolling
and
here.
Such, and that could be the whole thing, and everyone would be just completely taken off guard.
I honestly thought that the Marvel vs. DC was like a joke comment because, like I said, I didn't see the actual poll at first, but now I just think Ed's trolling.
Yeah.
Which goes back to our conversation about communicating too much or not enough. In the case of Ed, not enough, clearly, because we're sitting here dissecting like one Twitter poll. We're like, Tony and his team, they're super transparent over there.
Yeah, that's
MultiVersus.
That's what we were bringing up earlier. Just the communication level, where things are. It's like, here we are at a standpoint where MK is hitting whatever anniversary year it was for it. There's been no Mortal Kombat anything for the most part happening outside of,
outside of David Craddock's book.
Yeah, like, celebrating their movie last year that was what it was. There's been not the same level of communication or hype for anything regarding the franchise even next year. So I
liked that movie. It wasn't the worst. Okay. You have to look at it in the frame of every 2020 Warner release, right? So there's some really bad ones. Like, we got Space Jam 2 down here in the toilet, and then there's everything else, right? And then there's The Matrix 4 just floating slightly above Space Jam 2.
Well, hey, look, MK casting-wise, great. Costume-wise, fantastic. Yeah. Practical effects, fantastic. I love that there was some backstory there for Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Great stuff. As soon as they introduced that, new character, and it turned into like whatever that was supposed to be.
Yeah,
that was
Sub-Zero was
got all of these characters with their own plot points. Why are you introducing a new character and making him the lead of the movie? I don't understand. What Liu Kang is right there. Why are we introducing a new character for this? I don't understand.
Yeah,
like, especially when you're killing off half the ones in the same movie.
That's a good point. Okay,
I was a little confused. Like, okay, Kung Lao's dead. You got like 2 scenes with him. What's happening here?
I can't. You know how I know that character sucks? I can't remember his name.
I couldn't either.
Like,
new character, he's got new weapons, he's got all this other stuff going on. They're pushing him, and then he won't even be lead for the next movie. You can already tell.
Yeah,
like Sub-Zero was like Jason Voorhees. He's like chasing people down, and we're running from him. I'm just like, what is any of this? Like, this is not Like, Mortal Kombat characters are.
You guys went to theater to see this, I'm sure. People went to go see it in theaters, but I'm glad I watched this on HBO Max.
Oh hell, no. That was something I watched on HBO Max. That's not something I left my house.
All my MK friends were so hyped because of the trailers being like, "Yo, we got Sub-Zero coming in here, the Ice Sword, and you got some backstory for Scorpion, and they killing his family." You're like, "Oh, it's gonna be a dope story about Scorpion coming back."
But that was AT&T, man. This new Warner is even worse.
Hey, we got that DC animated film, if that counts. That released. Yeah, that was pretty dark.
That was like 2 years ago, right? On Netflix.
MK with the animation stuff hasn't been bad.
I want to say that might have been on Netflix. Yeah, like all the animated stuff they did was really.
That stuff was good.
Yeah, but
once again, like I'll sit here and consume it, but yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like I wouldn't have gone to a movie theater for that.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I would have for Matrix 4, and man, I would have felt a lot of regret.
yeah.
So I feel for your friends.
That was a lot. It was people were coming out like I would just see the timeline of people like, yeah, I'm going to go see the show. Yeah, my showing's at 2:00. And afterwards, you see yeah, so I saw Mortal Kombat. It was just the timeline just completely deflated after going in and then coming out and being like, well, that was a movie, Yeah, there was Melina in it, and some things happened. Goro.
Yes, Slinky Jim's back. He says Infinite Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite failing made me mad because I liked it. That's got to be a troll count. He didn't like it.
But again, like that's like when you think about it, that's the part where I'm like, one thing I will say about NetherRealm, but even if there's not a communication aspect, I never feel like they're not putting quality into the product. Like when they release a game, it's a AAA title, it's gonna look good, it's gonna sound good, all that's gonna come through. When it comes to Capcom, Infinite could happen, and they'll be like, "Hey, buy some DLC."
I agree.
Oh, they reused mobile assets for that game. Like it was, they cut a lot of corners on Infinite, and probably because they had a date that they had to make or something. But yeah, Greg and I, we were on the front lines for that game, and it was woof. But
Well,
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Rod.
No, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was just like, I could see how poorly Infinite performed was enough for Disney to be like, you know what, maybe we should talk to NetherRealm.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be that like that from a biz dev standpoint. I understand what Ed's doing here with suggesting that, but like, and I know people over at who are in charge of Disney video game licensing, and it's like night and day from 2 years ago to now. Like they have a new team over there. They're actually focused on licensing and kind of diversifying their IP across different devs. We've seen that with EA, right? Like they had the Battlefront thing. They have, I think the people who made Heavy Rain have a Star Wars game coming out. So like you think about between Star Wars IP, Marvel IP, and Disney IP, like they are spreading themselves all over the place now because they shut down Disney Infinity, which is like their best video game ever.
To be honest, when I saw the Midnight Suns announcement, I was like, you know what? NetherRealm might be dipping their fingers in this because
that's a good point.
Once I saw them pick up that as a property and making it a whole thing, that plus the Wolverine news, I was like, I can see they're definitely trying to use the IP more now in different.
So I guess it's more likely than I don't know, a Cleveland sports team winning a championship. It's probably more likely than that. I'll give them.
Cleveland, yes, that is very true. But I have more faith in Mortal Kombat 2 being good than I do in that Cleveland team.
Any of them.
Yes.
I'm talking about the Guardians. You guys know the Guardians, and then that football team, and then the Cavs. I mean the Cavs are the Cavs.
I gotta figure out what my dog is freaking out about.
Yeah,
because he is barking away. But
I heard him.
I think we have some Smash news to talk about next year.
Okay.
So I'll let you
guys
come back.
On the topic of improperly handled crossovers, we have to talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate first, not Melee, because Ultimate is getting mishandled. Well, they both are, but especially Ultimate, and for good reason too, because we deserve nothing. But we have given ourselves another tournament for how many weeks has it been on the Civ? The 18,000 week in a row?
84 years straight of just Smash Ultimate tournaments.
Just tournaments with no good narrative, no good storylines. And this one here is pretty okay. We pulled up to Sandusky, Ohio, which
Did you? Were you there?
I did not go. No, I didn't get hired.
See what I mean? Even Rod wasn't there.
I couldn't reach out for this one. So full disclaimer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it. I think Riptide, they get their money's worth out of their broadcast talent. So they pay okay, and then they give you multiple blocks a day. You get 2 or 3, and I'm just like, okay, I'm a little overworked right now for the budget. It wasn't for me this year. but there were a lot of newer talent that were like hungry for it. I'm like, take it.
Good for
I'm
them.
staying home. But it's a water park tournament, and we know what to expect with that. Tons of people complaining about how the area around them isn't cool, and then Smashers not having enough money to Uber to the cool parts of town. So
it's like you're, and I'm gonna just talk about, because you mentioned the attendance being shit. Like I don't. Who was there?
For Ultimate, in terms of PGR, top 10, Zamba, and then we had Tilde who actually won it. I mean, we had a lot of like killers, but we had like none of that top national recognized.
I don't want to. I'm not talking shit about anyone who did attend it, because like they made it and it was a tournament and you placed where you placed. It's not their fault that Leo didn't show up. But man, this attitude from Smashers that it's like, oh, I don't want to go to Ohio. I'll go to France for some bullshit. Or I'll go to Cuba for some bullshit. Like, I get it. This is about going on vacation more than it is about being in a league or in anything. Like Riptide was not a world tour event, right? So
or a Panda event. It wasn't either, which is strange because the lead TO for Ultimate, Josh, is a part of Panda, but apparently, according to my sources, Aaron isn't particularly too fond of either circuit, and they also really like Project M, since this event is a playoff of Smash and Splash, which was that was like Project M's Evo just about. So they're like, okay, we're just going to exist in our own little bubble and do our thing.
Okay.
Right.
I love hearing, I'm going to say it.
Say it.
I love hearing ignorant Smashers act like they can make a judgment on the entire state of Ohio by going to one fucking part of Sandusky. They're like, I'm never going to Ohio because I went to BFE and they didn't have Bennigan's. It's like, who gives a shit, man? Like, you're there to make money. The question is, did you make money? And then, like, also, you're in the same town as the best amusement park on Earth. Like, literally, better than Disney World, Rod. There are more roller coasters there. Fastest, tallest, biggest drop. There's roller coaster where you get to the top of the roller coaster, man. You can see Canada. You look over Lake Erie. You can see Canada from the top of some of these coasters. I'm going off about these Smashers disrespecting my state, Denny. Because like they didn't show up because they didn't want to come to Ohio. They don't show up at Xanadu because they don't want to go to Maryland. Right?
Yeah.
But like, when was the last time there was actually a Smash event in Cleveland? Like an actual city in Ohio?
Honestly, the last one, I went to one in 2017. Like, and that might have been the last one for me. Now, I know they've done like smaller regionals, but like in the actual Cleveland area, that was the last time I was there.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's pre-Ultimate.
Art culture.
That's pre-Ultimate, though, man. Like, I get you. Look, we can talk about a lot of stuff that happened in Smash this weekend that has nothing to do with the video game. And has everything to do with the lack of culture in the scene. Because holy crap. Like, can we talk about it? I watched the video.
I'm ready.
I watched the video, man. Did you watch Zero's video?
I didn't watch that, no. But I got a brief rundown.
I read the thing he told me to pause and read, and I read Jisoo's statement, and why are we acting like this is a resolution? It's like, yes, you have money. You paid the person to not complain about it anymore. And she agreed. It doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong. It just means you have money. Like, I was taken back by how quick the community was like, unban Zero on Twitch. It's like, what? And also, like, there's a third person in this, Katie, right? Who has no actual physical identity. They were just a Twitter account, and then they disappeared, right? And that person made a bunch of claims. Zero's still refuting those claims. Zero also dunked repeatedly on Leffen, saying everything Leffen has said was hearsay and BS. And, like, it's just, there's a lot to take in there. For Smashers to see Zero's video and to jump to the conclusion that Nairo should be unbanned is just insane. What the fuck's wrong with this scene? Like, move on. There's other people. Like, these people, even if they didn't do everything that was claimed, they still fucked up to the point they had to settle.
Right. You know, I think my issue, too, with the community is that, of course, we definitely have the nostalgia glasses on of, like, who these people used to be and whatnot. But I'm almost and I'm maybe more so Zero than Nairo, but like you aren't in the community more, and you had this really big deal at Facebook, so we know how much money you got from that, like $1 million or $2 million. Like, boom, you're doing your thing, bro. Like, why do you keep like bringing up the Smash community? Like at this point, like I think even right now, like as we're on the show, like he made some tweets about possibly doing like a band player tournament, and like being funny, but almost like, well, bro, like what do you gain from this right now? Like, I get it. Like, you're beating your chest right now. Like, you settled out in court. Like, you're feeling yourself. I'm happy you're happy and you're not killing yourself. Because
Yeah,
like, that
exactly.
was very much
And
a thing. Like,
and honestly, he looks a lot healthier. He looks like he's taking care of himself and he's trying to get better. He's been seeing a therapist. Like, I'm not gonna hate on him for any of that. But like, we gotta quit acting like this is an absolution of what was claimed. This is just someone handing a bag to someone else so they shut up.
Right.
And then both people announcing, hey, I'm not going to talk anymore. That's all that was done.
Before we go any further down that route, though, we got to provide some context to the audience for people that may not have actually the seeing of this, because it wasn't prepped for our itinerary. So if you could break down a bit of what's going on, because they might not understand what we're
The summer of 2020 was a very dark time for the Smash scene. A lot of people made all sorts of claims about things that happened dating back to 2014, 2013, even before that, I think, in some cases. One such claim is about the Sky Williams house, right? Which is a gamer house, which I've said repeatedly, gamer houses are kind of the worst idea ever. This is an example of why. Jisoo, person in the scene?
I don't know if she's still in the scene or she was. I don't even know.
What? A person, right? A person, it probably lived in SoCal, was around the Sky Williams house. I don't know if they were roommates. I don't think they were. Purports that Zero showed them hentai and airplayed it to a big TV in the house. And that it was inappropriate and it made them uncomfortable and all these different things. And that Zero had done that. These are other claims that Zero had done that on Discord as well, with underage people, sharing hentai with underage people. Zero has compiled a ton of evidence refuting those claims, showing what he actually shared was like an official artwork from a video game. So it's like, it may have been racy, but like you've seen Bayonetta before, like she's out there.
Very familiar.
You know what I mean? So that is the claim. And that was this whole... people took that little kernel of information, and obviously we tend to believe accusers, and they ran with it to the point where Zero was being labeled a pedophile. Incorrectly. Like there's no evidence that Zero had ever done anything to anyone underage. At all.
Right.
And Jisoo made claims that Zero had started dating his now wife, Vanessa, before she was of legal age. Which is also not true, based on just evidence that Zero has shown. So that's what's going on here, is like there were claims made about Zero. Also, Zero, this is the greatest Smash 4 player of all time. Like he was up there in Brawl, and he actually even showed up a little bit in Ultimate at first. He was kind of on the downturn at that point. But like at the time, Zero was the prototype for how to switch from being an esports player in the Smash scene to a content creator.
Right.
And he was doing that to the point where not all of his content was Smash related anymore. He had that Facebook deal, which he lost. He had that he lost every deal that he had, Rod. So it's like it's not like we don't know what the rules or we'll never know exactly how much he got from Facebook and how much was clawed back from him, because they might have had some sort of conduct clause in that contract. So we don't know. But yeah, he was making content about dirt bike racing and like all sorts of stuff. But he got canceled pretty aggressively. And what he said this weekend, I think it was like Friday afternoon or something, like when that video went up, was that he wants to create content again. He's created a new Valorant channel where he's going to be doing stuff there. And then he's also going to still be posting to Zero Wondering, his YouTube channel. He's going to start with Smash content, and then he's going to continue on with other stuff. I will say this, like I was a subscriber to his YouTube channel before everything came out, because he was, in my opinion, he was the best content creator in the Smash space. before everything went down, just from the regularity of the content that he had going up, the quality of the content, his stream content. I remember he was at Evo 2019. He didn't compete. He was just walking around the show floor interviewing people on his live stream.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like he is a very visible figure in the Smash scene. And he was probably considered, I think it's undeniable, he was the best Smash 4 player ever.
Oh yeah.
You know, he had a ridiculous run. Salem beat him at an Evo. We got to witness him become demonized because of his win streak, like all that stuff.
Yep.
So in those 2 years between 2020, the summer of 2020, and now, Gonzalo had attempted suicide, all sorts of stuff. Like, really went to a dark place. So I think it's fair to look at this and be like, what are the facts, and is this person actually what people claimed he was? And I think it shows how the Twitter mob tends to be a little quick to react to things. They don't really let due process play out. They don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt. You're just guilty on Twitter. And how that leads to like serious mental distress in certain cases. We've seen it with D1. We've seen it now with Zero. And now everyone's trying to jump the gun from Zero to Nairo. Nairo's situation with, was it Captain Zach?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very different. Yeah. And the math adds up that one person was over the age of 18 and the other person was under the age of 18 when potential relations occurred. So both of these cases have settled, right? Both of these cases have now settled. But we don't know what was actually admitted to in either case. In the case of Zero, he admits, like you can read it in his video, he admits that he did not realize how uncomfortable he made Jisoo. And Jisoo admits in her statement that she did not realize that Zero wasn't trying to make her uncomfortable. That's it.
Right.
That's what's being stated there. It's not a statement of, he states regret for making her feel bad, but he doesn't think he did anything wrong. She regrets putting him through this, but not to the point where she's going to say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. What's interesting here is Leffen is on the sidelines. Leffen spent half of 2020, Rod, streaming, making videos, doing all sorts of stuff, content about Zero, which really he had no idea what was going on there. It was all hearsay on his part. And he was monetizing the videos, he was getting subs for these streams, he was gaining clout. And that dude has a large platform. He's got like 300-some thousand followers on Twitter, and these people don't care. Like, no one cares about the actual evidence or facts. That's why it's nice to have technicals. Because that dude actually will do the research. Right. And I recommend you go watch some of the technical videos about Zero, because Technicals has done a shit ton of research and interviewed the people. About it, you know? So I think it just kind of speaks to how toxic this community is, man. That like 2 years later, this is not some win. Like we shouldn't be like, oh man, now we get Zero back. It's like, no, I don't think so. I think Zero can come back and do his thing. It's free country. Sure. You know? It's no different than what D1's been doing. You know? Right. D1 streams, I think, every day. And probably has a YouTube channel too. But like, telling people to bring him back into the community.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. And I think we only see that type of celebrityism from Smash. Of course, there are other games with people who are just as prominent as Zero, but the celebrityism that is the Super Smash Brothers top players is a little different than
they call them gods.
Yeah, they call themselves gods. And, well, it's, at least the Melee guys do. But, again, they're all treated just about the same, give or take a couple different areas. But I think it's very strange that, yes, the community is very toxic for how quick they are to mob against things or for things and so on and so forth. And we only really see this type of like stir craziness and just buzz from like, we see that in like music and movies. Oh, my favorite celebrity got called out. He's done for a couple years and he pops back and he's doing something else. Like Smash is the only esport that I've seen handle prominent people or officials with that same level of, and I'm saying care. It's like, okay, Zero's canceled. cool, he's done. You know, we forget about him, and then after a couple months to weeks, he comes back. Like we see it with Doja Cat. She got canceled. She was tap dancing and saying crazy stuff in these chat rooms back in the day, using a hard R. She was calling herself a bedwench, all this type of stuff, and then release a couple cool pieces of content. You know, a slight rebrand. Boom, I'm back. Yes, that happened, but that's not me anymore. I'm better. And I'm like, well, at what point do we have to be like, hey, we're still holding you accountable for that. We're happy you're better. We're happy you don't think like that anymore. But you just can't come back and do whatever it was you were doing before, or trying to do something bigger than what you were doing before. Like we gotta work something out here. And I don't know, Smash is just weird. Like it's a very weird and toxic community sometimes.
No, not sometimes. It's all the time, Rod. I'm not saying this about every single person in the community, but like this has been years now. Like people have taken their sides, right? But like the problem is, in this case, like if we're looking at Jisoo and we're looking at Leffen and we're looking at Zero, I don't think there's anyone here that really you should be on the side of. Maybe Jisoo a little. But like even Jisoo had to pull back on some of the lies that she said about Vanessa. So you know what I mean? Like there's no one here that's innocent.
Right.
Like they're like two people are guilty of just spreading nonsense, and then Zero's he definitely made someone uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know? So like there's that. Like but people like to claim that he used his position of clout and power to do this. This happened in 2014. He was not on top of the world at that point. Like
he was just, you know, again, and I'm not giving Zero any sort of benefit of the doubt. I will say that Zero's upbringing much different than some of the other people out there. You know, came from nothing, came from the middle of nowhere. You know, in Chile, well, not Chile's not the middle of nowhere, but came from nothing, came over here. Of course, the customs of how you interact with people and handle people very, very different, and you're experiencing fame and shit really quick. Oh, I'm good at this, and Mewtwo King likes me, and I'm beating everybody's ass, and it's just everything is kind of coming at him at once. And so I understand that type of philosophy. Do I give it a green light that, you know, it's okay though? Absolutely not. But I understand where that comes from. My biggest concern though is that, yes, this happened in Smash, and there were a lot of call-outs in 2020. Of course, some of the uglier stories came from the Smash community. I'm very curious as to what is swept behind some of these other gaming communities too. Smash, of course, had the biggest, like, dump it all out, let's talk about it. And there's still some creepos that shouldn't be here anymore. But now I'm curious, like, this happened in a grassroots community with no support. I wonder what's happening in the communities with money and like real influence and power, who can like take things away and start things up. Because like I feel Armageddon Part 2 coming soon.
There's definitely, I'm sure, there's skeletons in a lot of closets in different aspects. I mean, it's happened in the FGC and other places as well.
Overwatch League,
you know,
Overwatch League is not free of this at all. It's happened there. I think Sinatra, who's a Valorant and an OWL player, has gotten caught in some of this stuff. And some of these players, it's not as open and shut as like harassing a person or sexually harassing someone or putting them in an uncomfortable situation. Sometimes it's just saying homophobic slurs on stream or calling people
a lot of people are
names.
in content creation situations.
Yeah.
They're doing those kind of things. Or you have situations like Infiltration, who you know, came back at one point, and those kind of things.
And then you have Dr. Disrespect, who was banned from Twitch for reasons. We don't know why. There's a lot of speculation.
There's a lot of speculation.
The one guy who claimed to know, he doesn't tweet anymore. Like, what the hell happened to Rod Breslau?
Yeah, he just disappeared one day,
and then somewhere, you know.
I hope so. I don't know. I have no beef with Rod. I respect what he does, and I thought he was a great voice for people who couldn't really break embargoes, or break NDAs. He was a person you could sound off on, and then he would do it for you. So I wonder if that ended up getting him in legal trouble. But that's all speculation.
We got some other things to sound off on because we're heading towards the last end of the show.
Yeah.
That's true.
But anyway, anyone who's going to just judge the entire state of Ohio because they went to one shitty water park in Sandusky, Ohio, get fucked.
Yeah.
Like go to Columbus. Go to Columbus, go to Cincinnati, go to Toledo, go to Cleveland, and then tell me my state sucks. And if you do, so be it. We don't want you anyway.
I'm also friends. I'm over.
What was the prize pool for Riptide?
I'm actually glad you said that. So the prize pool for Ultimate was $7,760 for singles, and doubles was $2,740.
What was the Melee prize?
Melee's prize pool was for singles $4,490 for singles, and doubles was $1,620 for a water park tournament in Sandusky, Ohio. Friends, Smashers, if you're watching this, there's a good chance you might go back. You're not as cultured as you think you are. Okay, like Sandusky, Ohio is not an accurate representation of like what the whole entire spot looks like. It's a water park tournament. You understand how water parks have to exist? They have to exist away from everything. So that way you feel stuck there and you can't leave. All right. There's cool shit to do. I've been everywhere. Austin's been everywhere. Denny has been to a lot of places as well. Travel and go touch grass. Stop walking around the convention centers and just going O2 and not having fun. Go see your surroundings. Go be outside.
I think it's unfortunate though that so many of the top players did not show up last week, this weekend. Like, I get it because there's burnout happening here, and they have to be selective with where they go. And if you care about these rankings of PG or SWT, like, there's no reason for you to go there. And also, school's back in session, and football, and like all these other things. Like, I don't know. Smash got their head up their ass, but this weekend was like I would say that I was paying more attention to what Zero was saying and the fallout of that than I was the actual tournament, just because there was no one there. So HBox won Melee, and I think he was in top 32 of Ultimate too. So
September is always a good month to ignore Smash. Just, we just don't, it stops. Summer Smash stops in August, and then boom, October with the big house. So like, I think this month we had the PAX thing, Riptide, and then Summit, which just announced everything today. So it's just like
SmashCon should be it for a little bit. Like, that should be your guys' Super Bowl, and then you kind of just chill for a month, and then maybe go to Summit or something. And then like Apex is still coming later this year. Like, there's just a lot of shit on the horizon still. But yeah, we can move on.
I feel like there needs to be a situation where you guys have an off season.
I would like to see it.
You're not gonna be going year round.
You can't.
That's going on.
You're gonna burn yourselves out, and then you're gonna pass up on going to a town like Sandusky that has awesome roller coasters because you're joyless because you play Smash all the time.
It's true. I cannot deny it. There's a reason why I purposely don't own a Switch. I like to enjoy myself. I'm staying away from Smash. Now, when I do need to play other games, my guys will boot up Mario Kart and Mario Party stuff. I'll play those. But Smash, I got an hour to play it, and I'm done. Can't do it.
I maintain that anyone who works in video games who travels as much as you who doesn't have a Switch is a buster.
Hey, it is I in the flesh, Buster Conyers Jr.
That might stick.
All right, we got a bit of
let's keep going. Sorry.
Last news here.
I came in with extra news in the Smash scene.
We got the 343 news and a little 2K talk. So wrapping things up here, but it looks like there's going to be some shakeups here at 343 with the studio head Bonnie Ross resigning from the company.
Yeah, claiming a family health emergency. So we hope everyone in Bonnie's family is okay. I don't really. This is not the time to shit on Halo.
No,
but yeah, 343's seen better days. This is their founder leaving. That sucks. No other way to put it. I hope she comes back to the video game industry at some point. But yeah, that was big news. Today was like kind of a lot of people quitting jobs and moving, and a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes in video games right now.
I agree. I think to your point, we've talked about 343 and of course Halo earlier in the year about like their less than favorable plays in the gaming space and esports space, and 343, of course, they've had a couple hiccups as well, but this one here I think just hits a little bit close. It's nice to see more of the human side of some of these companies come out, and this is coming from the guy who's like, I want transparency, I want people to talk and be open, and then I also don't like it at the same time. But this right here, like, yes, Halo's in a weird space, and yes, we've seen whatever, but at the end of the day, the people behind these games are just that, still human beings with regular lives. And Bonnie, I hope everything's okay. Like I truly do.
She even said it in her resignation notice to like the community that like she really wanted to be around for this winter's update in Infinite. So it's probably pretty serious whatever's going on. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely
going to
wish
make
her the
light of
best
that.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I certainly do as well. Also, big shout out to TJ for the article as well. TJ Denzer and
Yeah,
Delicious.
we'll have more Halo news to cover in a few weeks, as I believe they have another Championship Series event and on the 25th, I believe.
I can't wait.
Well,
But yeah.
friends, who's ready to laugh? I got some funny stuff here to show you guys. So, NBA 2K is back. Now we've done enough dunking on Madden. I know Asif, you've been very vocal about how toilet water that game is.
Look, it's a bad game, and they should feel bad. Look, I'm not gonna. They shouldn't have made. Shacknews should not have made me review that. They knew what they were getting.
The briefcase was wide open for that. He brought out all the slander, and I'm here for it. If they're terrible, tell them shit.
Just it felt like holographic Tupac was just coaching both teams in that Madden game. It was creepy and weird. And then they were like, we have this audio clip from 1998 where John Madden's talking about Tom Brady. Let's play that now. It's like, okay.
Oh,
but yeah, now hit me with the 2K. What's going on here?
Not Tupac at Coachella, man. Fuck.
Yeah. Very much like Tupac at Coachella.
2K is back, and
is Jake from State Farm there?
The players are not happy about their overall rankings.
Of course.
Somebody who has been very vocal on just Twitter for multiple ways, for he gets dunked on, he also dunks on people back, is the legendary shooting guard extraordinaire known as Kevin Durant.
He's not a shooting guard.
Small forward rather. Forward and small forward.
Yeah. Wait, Kevin Durant's butthurt about something? Breaking news! Alert! Play a siren noise, Denny, because this never happens.
Oh shit!
Kevin Durant is butthurt. Breaking news.
Yes,
he is a 96 overall in 2K.
He's complaining about being a 96,
and he's upset that he's not 99. He said, "Hey, Ronnie 2K, I'm going to need an explanation on why I'm not 99. This has become laughable." Now, some people have gone on to tell him. First,
bro, you didn't even make the playoffs last year.
You got swept. Okay.
He did make the playoffs, and they got swept. That's right.
They got spanked.
They barely made the playoffs, and then they got swept. Get out of here.
He should have known better than that.
Come on, man.
Especially when he's like, my man has been radio silent about the things that matter. Like, you're talking to your teammates. What's going on there?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe choosing to be on Kyrie's team was not a smart move. Maybe that affected your rankings. Or I don't know. Maybe that game that you lost against the Bucks 2 years ago, where you stepped on the 3-point line with your big-ass feet, maybe that's why you're not ranked 99 overall. Or I don't know. Maybe when you left Oklahoma City, who lost to Golden State in a 7-game series the year before. Maybe when you left to join the 73-win Golden State Warriors to win 2 championships because you couldn't do it by yourself. Maybe that's why you're a 96 overall. Maybe it's because you're not the greatest player on earth. Even if you think you are.
I mean, if you listen to Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I certainly don't do that. But, like, I'm just saying, man, like, Kevin Durant, great player, but wasn't shit without Steph Curry. Steph Curry, that dude deserves a 99. That guy's a machine. I don't even like the Warriors.
I say Durant's not shit about Steph Curry, but I mean, OKC was still a thing, and yes, Harden was a thing too. But
OKC was a thing, but you had good Russell Westbrook.
You did.
That's true.
You had good Russ, not whatever the hell Russ you have in the Lakers now. You had like young, fast, pre-knee injury Russell Westbrook and KD and Harden. That was a good team. And I think they had like Ibaka on that team. Like they had a good squad that made it to the finals against LeBron. You know, that team that made it to the finals against LeBron's super team was decent. But no, look, and he won the MVP that year and he cried about it and all that stuff. Like, I'm not talking about that KD. I'm talking about 2022 KD, who like tried to force his way out of the team. Like, I don't know what all these ratings are, but if one of them is charisma or one of them is like intellect or like any kind of mental faculty, that's where he's getting dinged. And also his Twitter game is weak.
His Twitter game is absolutely booty. Somebody has to teach him how to roast back. And like, first of all, Kevin Durant, great player, but you're just open ammunition. Like
he's going to see this show. He's going to send us a tweet. That's how obsessed he is with what people think of him.
I mean, he'll
he's
send us a tweet from like the burner account, like one burn out of 20. Like,
he has like 40 burners.
He's got plenty of burner accounts.
Yeah, he really does, and he's gotten caught. He's gotten caught tweeting from them, and I don't know, man. This is ridiculous. Has LeBron ever complained about his rating in any game ever?
I don't think so.
He hasn't, because he doesn't give a shit.
I think in this game here, he's actually rated.
Yeah, we got.
So
we got
Giannis is 20. Yeah. There's 97. LeBron got 96. Kevin Durant got 96. Steph Curry got 96 as well.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
But did Michael Jordan get 99?
I'm pretty sure I
did, yes.
Yeah.
So there's your bar.
People were complaining about it too.
There's your bar.
They said that
Michael Jordan should be 99. He's the best player ever.
People were saying that he shouldn't be 99 because he wouldn't be 99 in today's league. And
bullshit.
Like, you know, you guys, the slander is out of control. Okay, how do you relax? It is not.
These people are out of pocket, Denny. Like, acting like Michael Jordan would do worse in this league. He had the Detroit Pistons beating the shit out of him. Like, it was a different league. They're right about that.
The physicality. I'm like, you serious? You know, Malone was not.
Go watch
everybody.
Go watch Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman throw elbows at Michael Jordan for 3 straight years before he even wins the series. Like, go watch The Last Dance and then shut the fuck up. Like, what the hell's wrong with these people? Yeah. But yeah, Michael Jordan should be 99. Yeah, Kobe, and I know he's on the cover. 98. Kobe got 98?
Got 98.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I don't know. And also, like, these ratings move. Like, everyone gets so obsessed with preseason ratings, but, like, these games update every week, you know? So it's like, you could be a 99, and look, Myles Garrett, I think, is a 99 on defense in Madden, or close. Probably deserves it. But if he sucks, his stats are going to go down through the dynamic season. That's true in basketball, too. They make you update it almost every fucking day when you start that thing.
I feel like nobody should be in the 99 rate who isn't also actually making the team better with teamwork. Like,
fair.
Having an individual is one thing, but can you actually make the team better?
That's it. KD is a terrible leader. KD is a horrible leader. He has no charisma, and he decided to team up with, like, the worst person in the league when it comes to, like, caring about your teammates. Like, at all. Like, Kyrie is a very selfish player, and he's talented as all hell. But, man, like, I can't think of a team I hate more than the Brooklyn Nets. Like, they're terrible. And I hope they lose. You know, and now my Cavs got a shot, you know. Pick up 2K.
Well, the next person on the list to be upset is Grant Williams.
Who?
Grant's overall rating in 2K this year is 77. And he went on to tweet. Where did I put the tweet? 2K stayed disrespecting me, shaking my head, laughing emoji. He tagged 2K and Ronnie 2K as well. I think 77 is pretty fair. When I'm on the website right now looking at it, 77 overall, inside shooting 63, 80 outside scoring, athleticism 73, playmaking and rebounding. He got 49 and 58 and defense 62.
Can we just talk? Let's talk real stats here for a second. We're talking about a guy. Okay, so these are his career stats: 19.4 minutes per game, 5.4 points per game, 44.9% field goal percentage, 36.9% three-point percentage, 3 boards, 1 assist, half a steal, 0.6 blocks per game. You ain't shit!
Please stop.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Because it's not even just the stats here, okay? Look, I was just looking at the tweet, and I see that there's a Grant Williams Muse account here saying he should be rated not like what this account
standing here? Grant Williams that hard.
It's got Grant Williams stats. Is he running this account himself, or like who is standing for Grant Williams? I don't understand.
Not me. Well, so you want to check the tweets?
I had to Google this shit. I didn't even know who Grant Williams was until you guys mentioned this. And then I was like, wait a second. We're talking about this guy?
Stats
So
and facts
77's
about
too
Grant
high.
Batman Williams here will be featured. I mean, clearly you need to follow the stats, all season for Grant Williams. You need to follow this account and make sure you get those hot, when he's getting those 2 rebounds per night. You need to make sure.
This makes the Mark Rebier's couch Twitter account seem way more reasonable.
Y'all, listen to this. So he says, he said, I stays disrespecting me. This guy responds, 2K really disrespecting the entire Celtics team. Shaking my head, man. A guy responds, because they know that finals run was fraudulent. And then this dude responds, coming from a guy with a Giannis profile picture. He said, you got Tatum as yours and Leo. Jason Tatum enthusiast in your bio. I don't care what anybody says. NBA banter, the NBA profile is way crazier than anime profile picture slander. They go in.
NBA Twitter is vicious.
Yes, they are very savage.
The Lakers...
Pull up your high school stats.
Dude, Lakers fans attacked the shit out of me on Thanksgiving. They got me banned.
Are you serious?
Lakers fans got me... That's why I'll never get verified, Rod. They got me banned on Thanksgiving because I was talking shit to LeBron. I said, way to almost choke the game away against the Cavs on the free throw line. And because I said the word choke and LeBron James, it was a threat of violence. And all the butthurt Laker fans, because I used hashtag Lakers, they all teamed up, got me banned. I was banned all Thanksgiving weekend from Twitter.
Yeah, Laker fans in general, especially Kobe fans.
Babies.
Well, I mean, but Kobe fans, though, like if you say something about Kobe, especially now, then you're out of here. Like
that day that he died, the day he died, a lot of people on my timeline don't, I follow a lot of video game people who don't understand how rabid Kobe fans were, and they were talking about Kobe's history with, what happened in Colorado and all that. And it was not really the day to talk about that.
No.
But, man, the dunking that I saw. But, Lakers fans like to talk shit, but, like, at least my arena's not named Crypto.com.
Okay,
fair.
Well, that also is pretty terrible. It's been rough on that end.
They went from Staples Center to Crypto.com Arena. I think that's really what this is all about. But yeah, getting upset about these ratings, especially when you're a role player on the Celtics, like, okay.
Yeah, you absolutely need to shut it right the hell up.
Was trying to pray for that 80. He was hoping to at least get that 80, and it didn't happen.
They're talking like you get like this is a game review and you get a bonus at 80 or something. You know what I mean? Like no one cares.
Because
and like
they know that they're gonna go at the barbershop and people will be like, "Yo, man, I saw you on 2K with that 72."
Yeah.
Are you ready for? Y'all ready for the Klay Thompson tweet though? Klay Thompson says,
"Yeah, hit me."
NBA 2K has been doo-doo, and then he inserted the doo-doo emoji since the Sega Dreamcast. At NBA 2K clown faces. 3-point shooters 2K ratings. Steph Curry got 99. Klay Thompson coming in second place with a hard 88. Desmond Bain 88. Kevin Durant 88. And Luke Kennard 88. He's upset that he got 88 and Steph got 99. We're talking about Steph fucking Curry here. Now, Klay Thompson, jump shot is out of this world. That's out of this universe, though.
Klay had a down year because he was coming back from a knee injury. Like he didn't have the best year last year. He wasn't as clutch as pre-injury Klay, but like he has the same rating as Durant. I do think him and Durant being 88 from 3 is kind of ridiculous, but it's also ridiculous to only have one player above 90 in the entire league. Like that seems dumb.
I don't like. You can't be moving like that. I mean, I do get his point here. With 1 and 2 being him and Curry.
Mm-hmm.
On that list.
Look, Klay, he hit the shots when they mattered last year, right? So like his full season wasn't that impressive. His playoff run wasn't even that all that great. But there were games, there were times where he needed to show up, and he did. And I know Steph was hurt for part of the playoff run, so he definitely had to step in. They are the Splash Brothers, but they also have that young kid who was hitting it from 3-2. Can't remember. I don't know. But whoever the young kid was on their team, the backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But who the hell is Luke Kennard? Who's Luke Kennard?
I don't even know. I'm looking him up right now.
I'm not expecting folks to be out here with like Ray Allen stats or something. But come on,
Luke Kennard
like,
plays for the
somebody's gotta
Clippers.
be higher than 88 besides Steph Curry in the league.
Okay, well this guy sticks out like a sore thumb in this list, Rod.
Yeah. I'm just like, who the fuck?
Luke Kennard. We're talking about, you know what? 44.9% from 3-point last year. That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid. I'll give him props for that. I didn't know you existed, Luke, but props. You're on the Clippers. You're on the Clippers. No one cares. Especially now that Pat Bev is on the Lakers. So they're making a championship run with Pat Beverly.
Let's see. But yeah, but speaking of that,
I can't help myself.
Because we're not done. We got good old Sauce Talk. I know you had a story in here with a little Papa John's action.
Yes, sir.
Oh shit, we got.
So I'm gonna use this time. I'm gonna use this time to dunk on Papa John's, only because I'm tired of tap dancing for it, and I don't know what they do in my scene. I don't know what they do in my scene.
All they do is make you eat pizza at the end of your set. That's what they make you do.
I eat sometimes warm pizza. The last time I had it with Max at SmashCon, it was cold, and they actually dropped Max's slice on the floor. But whatever, better ingredients, better pizza, right? Yeah, and I wish I was joking. Like, we literally woke up, went to go do the Wii U, top whatever the fuck 4, 6, and it was like, oh, it's time to tap dance for pizza. I'm like, well, here's my tap dancing hat and cane, and they're like, hey, here's some cold pizza. I'm like,
Rod, damn, you gotta save the dancing frog video and just play it, and then get your hat, get a cane.
See,
hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
I gotta say, with this story, they are playing into the gamer stereotypes so heavily that I'm like, come on, TK. Do we need the Papa John's and Mountain Dew partnership action happening here at this level with the pizza bundle?
And they're putting Shaq. They're using Shaq.
Of course, yeah, you gotta use Shaq in that action. We're probably gonna get some commercials at some point.
Locker code team packs with Shaquille O'Neal, Klay Thompson, Zach LaVine, Zion Williamson. So each Mountain Dew NBA 2K23 Players Pack bundle includes a large 3-topping Papa John's pizza, 2 bottles of Mountain Dew, 20 ounce, which is nothing, for $17.99. Okay.
Yeah.
Packs. Get those, get that exclusive DLC to.
Yeah, you can get some. Look. Okay.
I just, because
this gamer stereotype is just.
They said limited edition bundle, so it's only available until October 14th with a limit of 5 codes per person throughout the giveaway period. So, you can still rack them up a little bit, but just not too much if you want to pay your $17.99 for the quality pizza and Mountain Dew combo.
Yeah, this is... I don't know, man. I don't know what Papa John's is doing. It's like someone there was like, esports! And they're like, yeah! Like, what did we do? I don't know.
Well, I mean, they lost the NFL deal, so...
Yeah. Little Caesars got it.
Pizza.
How the hell did that happen?
I saw that Matt Stafford commercial one more time, I'm going to go insane. But,
I know.
Whatever they're doing, they're not helping me not sleep 3 guys to a 2-bedroom hotel at a Smash tournament. So they're not helping me out. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest.
Well, especially given this weekend's tweets, I don't think people should be sharing beds in the Smash scene.
No. You know what's funny? Space actually asked $1 million question on Twitter. They said, what exactly does Papa John's Pizza do for the community? And nobody could actually give a clear answer. Now,
I know.
You in the front, you, Mr.
They
Khan.
give the TOs money. And then the TOs don't give you money because they're greedy. Ta-da!
Son of a bitch, he's right.
Like a dealer of blackjack, I'm out.
You're welcome.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Look, all right. Yes, Papa John's, we don't miss you. Okay, just gonna put it out there. But I like how you fed into the gamer stereotypes though. And like, look, we're gonna get you some.
They
pizza,
really leaned in.
some Mountain Dew and some exclusive DLC, so you don't have to leave your room. All right?
This is like Jeff Keighley 10 years ago.
Yes,
I can see this.
I'm quite impressed. They're like, yes, we have the
That's a lot of. When I saw this image, I was like, this looks like a meme more than it does like a real thing. I was like, okay, Shaq. Well, I gotta give you guys props because this is Shacknews, like quite literally Shaquille O'Neal news. And I guess all Papa John's news is technically Shacknews because he's on the board of directors over there.
Yeah, I mean, Shaq is definitely a face for the franchise now. You know, moving forward.
The founder dropped the N-word when trying to be politically correct on an all-team call. And then they threw him out, and then he said the day of reckoning was coming, and then COVID happened. So John Schneider kind of called everything.
He's might be a supervillain at this point. I don't know.
He's really weird, man. We should try to get him on for
a whole lot. That's all I remember is that there's just a lot of sweat coming out of it. Every conversation that he was having, it was just flowing.
He was pouring sweat when he was talking about the day of reckoning.
All I could think about was like, have you been eating the pizza? Is this like the result of eating?
Didn't he say he ate like 20 pizzas in 20 days or something? Like something absurd?
Like just nonstop, like sweating. Yeah. Like is this pizza sauce trying to make its way out of your system? Like,
I think so.
Yeah, it was a little bit confusing there.
But no, I'm with you, Rod. I'd love to know the economics of this Papa John's deal because, man, you guys shill for it a whole lot.
And I'm over it. Like I'm in New York and New Jersey right now, where some of the best pizza on the planet exists. I'm not about to keep tap dancing for mid. It's just not. It's not a thing. Like look, even at like I just let my partner do the thing because I'm like, what's going on?
Here's the story, Rod. I was at PAX East 2018, and Shacknews we actually had a sponsored stream from the show floor. It was Oreos. And they were doing some sort of Sea of Thieves thing, so we did like a Sea of Thieves stream with Oreo product placement. I don't eat that shit.
Right.
But, you know, we're sitting there. They paid us, so we talked about it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Let's just promote content. But, like, I think transparency between the TOs and the talent would be good. So that you guys actually... Or, I don't know, maybe just not forcing you guys to share hotel rooms if there's more than 2 people.
Would be nice. Even if there is 2 people, would be nice.
But yeah, it's greed. And, like, I don't think it's necessarily Papa John's that's at fault here in this case.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
But yeah, like, I think it's a discussion that needs to be had between the talent and the TOs. And also, it goes back to what I said. There's just too many damn tournaments. So that Papa John's money's getting sliced up, man. Going to too many different tournaments.
Getting sliced up,
yeah. It's getting sliced up, and then they're just paying you in pizza.
Yeah, it's getting sliced
up.
I
will say, like, the product placement...
slicing that pizza up for you. That's your prize pool right there.
That product placement is pretty solid, though, Rod, because, like, they tend to do it in top 8, right? Or top 4, and that tends to be kind of in the end of the day. So it's a good time to show pizza on screen. People are like, I'm hungry, I guess I'll order Papa John's. But you know what would be nice? Like, I think some events have done this, but, like, have a discount code that people could use, you know, to order your pizza.
Easy, doesn't it? But somehow it's not happening.
Or even have like an influencer program, so some of you guys could get something on the back end if people use the codes. You know,
I'm surprised that like Wingstop isn't doing that with Madden drops or something. You know,
yeah,
like, having that kind of drop there.
Honestly,
I think
Wingstop.
that next week, you know, we're gonna have to talk about the Wingstop epidemic because I've been seeing the stories of their new chicken sandwich and it has not been good. All right?
Oh no!
There's been all kinds of viral video of raw chicken being served.
I had 2 or 3 very good experiences at Wingstop. I get the spicy Korean Q, and I'm sorry, Austin, I get a big fucking fat thing of ranch, and my brain goes somewhere else. It's amazing.
Look, you live in Nebraska, man. You're living the ranch dressing of states.
I'm not slandering Wingstop as a whole.
No. He's talking about a chicken sandwich
rollout has been atrocious. All right,
I don't know if
the training has been off or if there's been some kind of they were pushing it was like The Rock. They're like Yes, the shift in power is happening. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Okay, new chicken sandwich, and they were hyping this thing up, and then every time I would see it on the timeline, it's someone like with a half bit into sandwich and just raw chicken in the middle, just looks terrible. And I'm like, so clearly the training videos weren't working for how to serve this thing.
Rod,
And
do you
it's
get
just out here in
bone?
the wild.
Do you get bone in or boneless?
Always get bone in.
Okay.
Yeah. Boneless is just glorified chicken nuggets. I'm not here for that.
Yeah. Okay. I respect.
I'm from
that.
Nebraska, but I know a thing or two about some chicken.
It depends for me.
No, I know.
Sometimes I don't mind a little boneless if it's depending on the sauce I put on it.
Okay,
Yeah, I just
fair.
But it's
I
not all
don't
the time,
fuck
though.
with Wingstop. There's a Wingstop. Like I could walk there from here. But I don't fuck with
Yeah,
Wingstop at all.
that time has kind of passed for me as well. But it is what it is. But yes.
But now I'm curious because there've been so many damn chicken sandwiches launched in the last 3 years. Like, Panera has 2 chicken sandwiches now. I bet they're both better than Wingstop. But
I had
the shortage
I had
was
the
the thing. I
non-spicy
guess
one. It was okay.
there's so many like people are doing the sandwiches because there was the wing shortage, and then they were like, we need to pivot, and then Wingstop was like, yeah, now we got thighs, and people are like, we don't care, and then they're like, okay, now it's time for a sandwich, and that's where unfortunately things are not going as well as they could have been, but yes,
that's unfortunate. I didn't know it existed, but I will stay the hell away from it now that I know it does.
Don't touch that until they figure out what they need to do to make that actually consistent for customers. But
That's a huge problem with product rollouts at food places. Having to be consistent across the national footprint is really hard.
But it is that time of the week where we look at a good old Cortex. Yeah.
So Mamu123 has risen. Mamu,
Yeah, I seen. I'm looking at it right now.
yes,
Mamu123 out there in the streets.
Report here.
Yeah. He is fighting the good fight against 8 Mikey. 8 Mikey, though, has lots of dogs. 8 Mikey won for the week pretty handily again. I know Greg had some wins last week. I think 8 Mikey he's not going hard every day, right? So there's certain days of the week where I think you can win. Sundays tend to be one of those days. But I happened to talk to Mamu123 over the weekend about this, and they claim they're gonna keep going hard to the paint with this.
We got the exclusive here from us,
Yep. I may happen to know the pictures that Mamu123 has been uploading. So they may or may not be Lola. I don't know if you've seen the dog Foofer McFooferton on Shack Pets, but that's Mamu123's dog.
Oh, see, they're gaining some momentum here.
Looks a lot like Lola. Yeah, a nice Sunday by them. Or sorry, Saturday put up 24,000 points. Actually beat 8 Mikey on a Saturday, and then yesterday won again with 29,900. Beat Blake and 8 Mikey and me. I'm not trying to win this thing. I'm just out there voting sometimes. I use the app like anyone would use the app. But yeah, 8 Mikey's out there winning. They won. It's still, despite Mamu123 having a pretty solid week, putting up 95,610 points, 8 Mikey put up 330,823. I've done a little bit of research into what 8 Mikey's doing with our devs, and I'm not saying there's shenanigans, because if you figure out an exploit and I haven't patched that exploit, it's on me, not you. You know what I'm saying?
You make a good point there, but I mean, will things become more competitive on that?
God, I hope so.
I mean,
I certainly hope so. I'm not sure what. I don't think that the exploit that 8 Mikey may or may not be using, I don't think that's the thing that's breaking it. I think, like, regardless of that, that human being still has to swipe an inordinate amount of times in a given week to put up that kind of number.
so no one's gonna be knocking on 8 Mikey's door and
No.
being like, hey, you know, like,
FBI, open up!
like come through real quick, you know.
No.
Put the phone
We
down.
we probably phones down.
Oh my
There's a
gosh.
hint. Yeah, there's a hint. Yeah, there's
I just picture 8 Mikey like in like the Dark Knight room with all like
like the
the
50
giant-
screens. Yeah. Yeah.
I had to use this for a reason. Alfred,
can see
you have
it,
to
man.
understand.
I can see it.
The
Hey,
power is
Mikey
rising.
definitely has.
Greg Burke has been he's been making he's been getting too many swipes. All right.
Well, like, because if you're a player and you don't have my backend to look at, right? Like, you can't look at the Shack Pets database or anything that I can look at. You have to like basically look at everyone's points on Saturday morning and be like, okay, I'm gonna write this down, and then just start subtracting their total points by that all week long to figure out what the number is you have to hit to beat them. So there's like math that needs to be done, and then there's like the dedication of time. Like regardless of whatever exploit 8 Mikey's using, like they use Shack Pets more than anyone else.
So basically, 8
on
Mikey
Earth.
is an anime villain, and he's been plotting this since the inception
I
of the
know.
app. And
Even
once he figured
before.
out,
That's what was weird, man. He was as obsessed with Cortex before the launch of Shack Pets. It was like he wrote a script to help his Shack account viewed every article on the web page in like a week. He like put up some like 1 million points that week. Like the dude is a force of nature. Like he must really like clicker games. But he just yeah, it went from like he was obsessed with Cortex and winning Cortex to now Shack Pets and winning Shack Pets. And it just I had no idea that the guy who was obsessed with Cortex had 15 dogs and a cat. Like, who would have thought that? Like, you don't know where people live. Like, they're just 8 Mikey. That doesn't throw off the hey, I live on a farm with a ton of rescue animals. I didn't realize that. But then talk about like kismet or just like serendipity or whatever, but like yeah, that dude is a force to be reckoned with. I don't know. We're gonna need someone really big or Lola to
We need
beat
to
him.
interview some of these guys. Like, I want to get some of these people like on Twitter Spaces or like on here or something. We're like, yo, how and where and what is your process in beating everybody's ass? We need to know.
I haven't reached out to Mikey yet because I kind of want to save that for our next update. I think it would be good. It might be cool to show him that update and talk to him about it and see what his reaction is.
I just feel like you're gonna get him in a room and it's just going to like have a conversation with him. He's gonna just give this like dialogue that's going to be just like, yes, I had a vision one day, and then like some music's gonna start playing. You know, like
it's like that scene in Usual Suspects.
I knew what's coming. All right. Yes, I foretold this one of the eerie October nights. It's just gonna go down like that. And I'm like,
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. It's the app is really continuing to do its thing, and yeah, like we're coming up on the anniversary, so we're gonna have a lot of stuff to show people soon. But yeah, 8 Mikey, man, forced to be reckoned with. I could do it. I just don't want him because like it's kind of lame when I win. I don't want to win.
Fair.
I mean, you say that, but does Lola want to win? I mean, she's over 10,000 at this point.
Yeah, Lola's won 10,000 times.
At some point, we don't always want to be a hero, but sometimes it happens. Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. And Lola does love winning, and it really boils down to like Lola being cuter than every other pet. So like, as long as that's understood, she's cool with it. And specifically Greg's cats. Lola has to have more wins than Greg's cats. So when I see Greg win a couple times, it usually gets me back into it, and vice versa.
Lola
but
demands the respect. She's making sure that that's happening.
Yeah,
I understand that.
But it is nice because the app does tell you if you've won a battle, not just if you've won for the day. So if your dog's been in a battle or your cat or whatever, you'll get a notification if you win. You can always go to the results screen if you want to see how close you were. But yeah, we gotta start getting people's friends in there to vote. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the works right now. I'll have a meeting with the Shack Pets devs tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at with stuff. But yeah, hopefully in the next month we'll have something to show.
Big moves. Well, we have made it to the end of the show, and we are
Woo-hoo.
on time for this time. We actually got plenty of space for Steve Tyndall to dive in. He's also a power figure.
We have 4 minutes. I want to talk about fantasy football. Aaron Rodgers put up 2.7 points because he's a bum.
Just came in with the strays. But you know what? I'm not even mad because I hate Aaron Rodgers. So it's
Tell
fine,
him how you feel.
I mean, I also hate Aaron Rodgers, but I got him for $1. But now I'm starting to realize why I got him for $1.
Yeah, that ship has sailed, bro.
Jeez, Justin Fields would have been better.
People are
lost
talking
both
about
my.
like talking about in conference, but I'm like, you know what's going to happen to him when some of these defenses get around with that O line, bro?
Yeah, and Bakhtiari's still hurt. Like, what the hell's going on with that dude's knee? He's been hurt for like 2 years.
Bro, it's about to be. I don't really know. He's playing through the season, to be honest with you.
No, probably not. There's something really wrong with his knee. If he's had 3 surgeries in 2 years. He's had multiple setbacks. Like, just from an athlete's standpoint, like there's something very wrong with that guy. And then I don't know. I think Devontae Adams, he covered up a lot of Aaron Rodgers' bad tendencies because he was such a good route runner and an amazing force and
and he forces the defense to also adjust accordingly. Whereas
exactly. Scantling and all those other dudes who were eating while Adams was there, they're not getting single covered anymore. Zone is working against them. And also, you can blitz 4 people at Rodgers and sack him. So, this is going to be a weird season, man. Minnesota Vikings look good.
I mean, the Vikings have been doing some good stuff over there. I mean, Justin Jefferson, you got Dalvin Cook still cooking.
But I like the Bears. I like your new coach. You got a W.
Yes.
He seems to let your quarterback be a quarterback, which is good.
He's instilling good things in the overall team. They're believing in. I listened to the press conference after the game, and the way that people were talking before halftime and after halftime, and just believing in not working the other team. That's the kind of stuff I like to hear. So they were just, we're just trying to make it through, survive. No, I don't want to hear that. All right? I want you to tell me that you're both one to win and you're going to outwork the other team, and then show me. That's the kind of energy you need for even if you call yourself rebuilding, you need that kind of energy.
Just a real checkup on the former Cleveland Brown fan here, right? I'm not rooting for the Browns. They win their first season opener since 2005, with me not a fan. I'm just saying. And watching Baker Mayfield lose to them was interesting.
His was hilarious.
When Myles Garrett sacked him 2 plays in a row, that was delightful. I still like it's been a weird. This is weird because I like Nick Chubb. I like Myles Garrett. I think there's good players on the Browns.
Yeah, I mean it's a team. So,
but I do not like that ownership, and I don't like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
they got their first
as well. I avoided every Browns player, but I won 1 out of 2 teams. But that's because Josh Allen was eating. He
did.
It was delicious. I was like, oh yes, this is Buffalo D. Look,
I love that team.
You're staying out there the rest of the year. All right.
I love that team, man. That is a great team, top to bottom. I like the
Miller
receivers.
He's just going to eat.
He is.
This is against the Rams line. Okay, so when we get some of these weaker teams, they
rotate 8 people on D line too. So Vaughn's going to be fresh. That's a force to be reckoned with. That team.
It's going to be very scary times for quarterbacks, especially if a longer season. And then we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I predicted the Lions versus the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
Wow, we don't have time to cover that right now. It's time to get out of here. All right, yep, Steve Tyndall is up next, but yes,
what's Steve playing? Let's tell the folks at home what Steve's playing.
That's definitely a take right there. We're gonna have to
look, I always pick the Lions versus the Browns, so this year I had to do something a little different, and I picked. Steve is playing the Cowabunga collection.
Oh, nice. Yeah, some more turtle time.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Check out some Ninja Turtles.
For joining us for another edition of Wide World of Electronic Sports. Next episode is episode 150. So
150.
You gotta do it big out here. But until next week, we'll see you all again soon. And stay tuned for Steve Tyndall starting up real quick.
Yep. Bye.
Peace.
Lola won 13 times in Shack Pets today. I just got the notification.
Yay, Lola. Hong Kong. All right. Bye, guys.